twice this season. First, a shutout at the Astrodome in Week 7, but then a much closer game in the snow earlier this month in Pittsburgh. Houston benefited from this disputed Haywood-Jeffries catch, and it led to the winning score. Chuck Noll has used that play as a rallying point for his team as they prepare to take on Glanville's club for a third time today. Now, Juice, Glanville says he voted for Noll as Coach of the Year, but of course he did spell the name with a K on the ballot.
Well, there's some grudging respect between these two. Both have their teams at 9-7 coming in today's game, but that's about where the similarity between these two end. Indeed, except for wanting to win, there's very little these two coaches would agree on.
Ice cream. Very basic in ice cream. Vanilla.
Chocolate. I love chocolate ice cream.
They're as different as their favorite flavors of ice cream. Chuck Noll, the working man's coach, whose Pittsburgh Steelers won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years by combining athletic ability with precision execution.
He has it.
And Jerry Glanville, the journeyman's coach, whose Houston Oilers made it to the playoffs each of the past 3 years by combining athletic ability with emotion.
The talent and the athletic ability, especially in the AFC Central, is all so close that you have to bring something else to the party. You have to bring something that maybe the other close, very equal team doesn't have, and that's emotion, and that's excitement, and that's enthusiasm.
Glanville courts the media. He's left tickets for rock and roll legends, and he drives a Corvette with vanity plates. In contrast, Noll's car is a Chrysler, and his choice of music is the classics, not the King. On the sidelines, Glanville is as explosive as a volcano, while Noll is as steady as Mount Rushmore.
It doesn't get you all fired up or doesn't, bitch at you or anything like that. It's pretty level, low-key type deal. And he says you're a professional athlete. You got to know when to turn it on and turn it off. It's your responsibility to get yourself ready to play.
One thing that may never be turned off is the bad feelings between Glanville and Noll that first surfaced 2 years ago after this Steeler-Oiler brawl. True to his form, Noll chooses not to recount the incident.
I don't think it lingers beyond or after. I think you have to get yourself ready to play. You got to get yourself ready to play the next game. You can't worry about what's happened in the past. You can't dwell too much on the future. You have to get ready for the now.
True to his form, Glanville has no problem talking about the past and making light of the incident.
And his wife has asked me if I'm going to speak to him, and I promised that when they put him in the grave, I'm going to say goodbye.
You don't like Chuck Noll.
No, really, that was a joke. That was a joke.
One thing Noll and Glanville have had in common is that both have had to endure heavy criticism this year. Noll, after his Steelers lost their first 2 games by a combined score of 92-10.
They take the ball away. Grayson for
and Glanville, after his Oilers gave up 85 points while losing their last 2 games of the season.
And the Bengals extend their lead to 61-7.
We could have scored 150. We would have done it. There's no question about it. This team is they're an obnoxious bunch of people, from their head coach right on down.
Is he really hanging by a thread?
Oh, he sure is. He's an awfully good coach, but the people in the organization would rather have somebody else. If he loses, I'd say he's out. If he wins the Super Bowl, he'll be retained, but they don't want him.
He doesn't know where he's going.
While Noll has ignored his critics, Glanville has responded to his.
Not as easy as just... They call it shock TV, and that if CBS has said something shocking, then NBC or vice versa has to come back with a shock statement. And it's based on no truth, there's absolutely no knowledge, which corresponds with the industry, and they just throw something on the wall. And that was a shock statement by people who no one told them that, but it's something nice, and I think it's what's happening in the industry.
Now, for Chuck Noll, I think no matter what happens today, he'll consider this year a success. For Jerry Glanville, however, I think it's been a year of frustration. There's been a lot of criticism about how his team plays. A lot of people say they have a lot of talent. They should do better. As far as the talent, well, most of their talent is on offense, Bob. Most of their talent is on offense. Defense, I think they fall somewhere in the middle of the pack. And with the injury to Ray Childress, hey, they've been greatly hampered later on in the season. As far as he is concerned, I think people don't like his personality. I don't think it has anything with the way his team plays in the 70s, no team played more on the border than the Oakland Raiders. Ben Davison took some shots at me. Lynn Swann could tell you all about the way the Raiders played, and nobody was calling for John Madden's head. I find it surprising that he has his team in the playoffs 3 years in a row, and people say he shouldn't have the job.
I tell you this, I may not agree with everything Glanville says, but the league needs characters. I don't mind Sam Weiss stirring it up. I don't mind Glanville making his comments, or even Buddy Ryan. Some of it may be obnoxious, some of it may hit the nail right on the head, but there are too many cookie-cutter type guys in sports. Too many games on AstroTurf, too many games in domes, too many uniforms that aren't dirty, too many non-characters. I like Glanville.
Not enough Jerry Glanvilles in the league.
That's right, and now when I have to see Glanville next week, if they beat Pittsburgh today, I hope that I've cleared matters up. All right, Juice, let's go to the Astrodome now to check live with Marv Albert and Bob Trumpy. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Bob. To another part of the story, the injury rundown here. Houston's front three is hurting. Ray Childress still sidelined. Doug Smith and Richard Byrd are banged up. They're playing hurt. So they're in the same situation they were Saturday night against Cleveland.
Yeah, Marv, you mentioned those three players. Jerry Glanville historically has had run stoppers against Pittsburgh, and these three guys are the guys. So today they have to go with William Fuller and Sean Jones at the defensive end, and that's not a good run-stopping team, and that's got to be Jerry Glanville's concern.
And you look at the turnaround by the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've won 5 of the last 6, and their success is in direct relation to the emergence of the running game, which has been sparked in recent weeks by the play of their rookie, Tim Worley.
Yeah, he's definitely matured as an NFL running back. You see his yards rushing over the last 5 games and the team's rushing average over the last 5 games. I think that's directly related to the offensive line being able to play the last 7 games together, and that'll help Pittsburgh today.
And the Steelers feel if they can get Worley going today, they will have a genuine shot here at the House of Pain. Let's get back to Bob.
Okay, guys, we'll rejoin you a bit later on for the call of the game. Coming up immediately, though, the Insiders close out the year with news on Eric Dickerson and some of the coaching vacancies around the NFL. Stay with us. For the final time in the 80s, folks, we're joined by the Insiders, Bobby Beathard and the wily one, Ralph Wiley. Now, first on the agenda, we just heard Jerry Glanville say that the rumors about him are pure fabrications. Your remarks?
I wouldn't make that up. I don't have anything against Jerry, but around the league, everybody's talking about it, and long before we mentioned it here. But I've talked to sources in the organization, and I got that information, and I reported it. There's no reason to, I'm not into shock journalism, so I'm not going to make something like that up.
Well, the interesting thing is, he said in the piece we just saw, that it corresponds to the industry that this kind of comment would come from a base of no knowledge at all. But the last time I checked, you were a football man.
I was a football man, and Jerry called me the other night, and we talked about it, and I told him I got the information from people in the Oiler organization. I wouldn't tell him who the people are. But Jerry said he was disappointed because I was a football man, not a media man. And I said, I'm doing a media job, and this is an interesting report.
And the point about Glanville here, Bob, is that he's circled the wagon, the singular being the kicker. His own coaching cohort, Sam Weiss. Now, it's one thing to lose 61-7, but to come back and talk about a guy like he talked about Glanville makes me sort of feel empathy for Glanville. But at the same time, none of this stuff is made up. Atlanta is very interested in Jerry Glanville as being a head coach, and he does not get along with Mike Holovac, the general manager of the Houston Oilers. 1 and 1 make 2 in this case. And I think just because Jerry feels a little put upon, that does not change the fact that we had these items first, and they were true.
Eric Dickerson.
Well, Eric is unhappy again. We said earlier that it was a contract ploy this season, his unhappiness. He's called for a meeting with Jim Irsay. He wants more money or a new offensive line, and I think it's going to be a lot easier to satisfy Eric by getting him a new offensive line, because I think it's impossible to make this guy happy with more money.
An entirely new offensive line? I mean, it takes a while. You're not just going to have them fall from heaven.
Yeah, you give him more money, and then next year he's going to want more again. So I don't know how. I guess Herschel's contract set him off, and it's nothing new.
What about Eric's old team, the Rams?
Well, their assistant coaches, Fritz Shermer, the defensive coordinator, is in line to take the job with the Phoenix Cardinals. And another coach, the quarterback coach, Dick Curry, has been calling coaches, even called me and said, look, I want to be a head coach in the National Football League. He was a head coach in the USFL. It's called Dick Steinberg, Bobby. He's probably going to call Bobby once Bobby gets to San Diego, if he does. And he's been calling other people. He wants to be a head coach. So the Rams, in spite of their successes, might be losing some people.
All right, now the Phoenix Cardinals continue their search for a coach, but apparently in no hurry.
Yeah, and two of the names, Floyd Peters of the Vikings, Joe Bugle of the Redskins, neither one has been contacted at this point, and they're one of the big rumors of being the next coach. An interesting thing with the Patriots, another team, of course, but Raymond Berry has been offered a contract extension. They've talked about it. One of the provisions in this extension is that the Patriots pick his coaching staff. Now, that'll be the big stumbling block for Raymond Berry. Whether he stays or not, I think will depend on if he can live with that kind of situation.
He probably doesn't have enough leverage now, though, to take it any other way. It's either accept that or leave.
I think that's exactly the way it is.
We talked about Keith McCants, the Alabama linebacker, a couple of weeks ago. Something new with him?
Well, only the fact that he's the lead horse in the Oklahoma land rush of 30 to 50 underclassmen that are going to come out and apply for the NFL draft. Richard Woods, the agent, has a hotel room adjacent to Keith McCants in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. There's nothing the NFL can do about this. They might as well take the route of pro basketball and pro baseball and get ready to live with it.
So we're looking at a jailbreak.
Big time.
All right, let us turn our attentions now to the San Diego Chargers, an organization in need of new direction, someone to chart a bold new course. And after weeks and weeks of speculation, Bobby, are you prepared to say that you are that man? Are you prepared to accept the challenge on the West Coast, leave network television behind, which would make Jerry Glanville very happy, and get back into football where real men are employed?
Hey, you're not finished with me yet. I'm gonna be here till the conference championships, the middle of the month. But Mr. Spanos and I have pretty much come to an agreement. We haven't finalized the deal, but I'll go after the Orange Bowl. I'll go to San Diego, and I hope that everything's finalized by sometime in the middle of this week.
So you'd be the GM with complete control over the football operation?
Yes.
All right, now, Bobby Beathard will be back at halftime with his year-end ratings of the best and the worst in the National Football League. And I guess folks will pay even more attention to it in light of today's announcement that apparently he's going to get his stripes back as a football man instead of a detested media type. And NFL Live will continue right after this. Astrodome as we eavesdrop on the Oiler defensive introductions.
Safety number 31, Jeff Donaldson, your 1989 Houston Oilers under head coach Jerry Glanville.
All right, the Rams have beaten the Eagles 21-7 at the Vet. Everett throws for 2 touchdowns. Greg Bill runs for 124 yards and a touchdown. They play the Giants next. Vikings play at San Francisco. Coming up here with Marv Albert and Bob Trumpy, the Oilers and the Steelers. Your pick?
Well, they're playing in the House of Pain, so I'm going to have to go with the Oilers, even though I think it's going to be a good game. I want to take an opportunity to say Happy New Year to all our men and women in the armed forces, especially you guys down in Panama. I hope your team wins.
Oh, it's an interesting concept. One, I'm sure it's not going to spark much contradiction. That's a safe one there. You're on the right side on this one. And we'll see you at halftime.
For the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 1989 season has been much like the fairy tale story of Cinderella. They lost their first 2 games by a combined score of 92-10, prompting an outcry by the fans. Go home, Chuck Noll. The game has passed you by. Go home, Bubby Brister. You're not Bernie, Warren, Elway, or Kelly. Well, very much like the story of Cinderella, the Pittsburgh Steelers went back to work and stunned the Vikings, which set them on their way to 9 victories. 3 weeks later, they came up with a surprise win over division rival Cleveland at Cleveland for the first time since 1981. And then on Christmas weekend, almost as if the fairy godmother herself was granting 3 magical wishes, the Steelers benefited from losses by the Colts, the Raiders, and finally, the Bengals to earn a trip to the ball. Now today, they meet the Houston Oilers, playing the role of the stepsisters in the Cinderella story. The Oilers, with a punishing style of play, led the NFL in penalties this season. And they have won impressively in both outings against the Steelers by outscoring Pittsburgh by a 50-16 margin. So as the clock nears midnight, will time run out on the Cinderella story, or will someone else be wearing the glass slipper? This is the AFC Wild Card on NBC. As this Cinderella story unfolds, there are heated undertones to today's matchup. Pittsburgh quarterback Bubby Brister and Houston fullback Alonzo Highsmith expressing attitudes that capture the playoff feeling. And as you know, there is no love lost between head coaches Chuck Noll and Jerry Glanville. Welcome to the House of Pain. It is a sellout crowd at the Astrodome in Houston, and this will be a very vocal crowd. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Bob Trumpy, and this a matchup of two teams that come into today on different emotional levels. Pittsburgh a surprise to be here, and Bob, they are downright giddy to make it to the playoff level, while the Oilers have dropped their last two, and they have been down all week. In fact, down in the dumps.
Yeah, Marv, when we were at their practice facility on Friday, I was impressed that all players admitted that they were down. So Jerry Glanville and his staff had two responsibilities this week. The first part of the week, get the Houston Oilers back on track, and then later in the week, worry about Pittsburgh. I think Houston's Daubers are up. I think they're ready for the game. And
in talking with Chuck Noll last night, he said discount all that talk of depression. He says it's strictly just a maneuver by Jerry Glanville, a tactic, so forget all about it. His major concern, though, is that explosive Houston red gun offense. That's what he's worried about.
Yeah, Marv, there are a lot of teams that use four wide receivers all over the game, but no football team has produced the kind of numbers that Houston has with their red gun. Those four receivers have accounted for 211 catches, 2,964 yards, and 18 touchdowns. They'll run it first, second, or third down. And, of course, Warren Moon has had no trouble whatsoever throwing the ball against Pittsburgh in 1989. So the task for Pittsburgh's defense, somehow shut down the red gun offense.
And there is Chuck Noll in postseason play, a remarkable record, winning 15 out of 22, although his teams have lost 3 of the last 4 in postseason competition. His 21st year as head coach of the Steelers, the 5th winningest coach in NFL history. And across the way, the 47-year-old Jerry Glanville in his 4th full season as head coach of the Oilers, who have won the toss, and they will receive. By Gary Anderson. Kenny Johnson, a 10-year man out of Mississippi State. On the return, Larry Griffin made the tackle. And so the Houston Oilers with that massive front line, couple of Pro Bowlers, Mike Munchak, Bruce Matthews making it to the Pro Bowl, Warren Moon, also a Pro Bowl man, AFC's second-ranked quarterback. And when they go to the red gun, the excellent group of receivers as Duncan and Jeffries come on. It is a first down from the 19 as we get underway in the AFC wild card from Houston. Jerry Glanville said that he would start things off by going to the running game. Alonzo Highsmith stopped by the nose tackle, Gerald Williams. And a look at that Pittsburgh defensive unit. Willis, Williams, and Johnson up front. Hardy Nickerson making way back to the starting lineup. Missed 6 weeks with a fractured ankle. And when they go to the dime, Jones, Gerald Williams, Hall, and Griffin come on. The normal Pittsburgh secondary has played very well. Carnell Lake does have a bruised chest, but will see action starting the game. Second down and 6 at the 23. And again to the running game, Mike Rozier, a man who has been very unhappy that he has not been running the ball as frequently as he would like, stopped by the combination of Gerald Williams and David Little.
Certainly no question, though, that Jerry Glanville, his choice to start the game with 2 runs is a choice that is a conscious choice, and that is he does not want to throw the ball at the outset of the football game. He wants to beat up the defense at the line of scrimmage. Now, third down and about 4, Houston comes with the red gun.
And the Oilers have won 6 of 8 here at the House of Pain. Last year they won 7 of 8. It is a third down and 3 at the 26. Moon to throw for the first time, and he has the first down. Ernest Gibbons with the reception, stopped by the outside linebacker, Gerald Williams.
One of the things Pittsburgh is going to have to worry about all day long is the great speed of the receivers for the Houston Oilers. But the thing that they like to do is fake that deep route and then run Givens and Hill across the middle. Well, last week, Warren Moon had 32 completions against Cleveland. 23 went to wide receivers.
He had a career day on that loss to the Cleveland Browns. Looking first down at the 31. Lorenzo White, the ball carrier, and picked up short yardage. Lorenzo White trying to get to the outside against Pittsburgh 4 weeks ago. He had a big game, 115 yards, but Brian Hinkle was right on the scene, so only a 2-yard gain for White. A second down and 8 at the 33. Houston seeking to become only the third AFC team ever to defeat another team 3 times in a single season. The 1964 Buffalo Bills did it against San Diego. The 82 Dolphins did it to the Jets. Moon with a long look. He was able to complete. Drew Hill with the long gainer. It's a 33-yard reception.
Marv, the Oilers in the red gun use Drew Hill and Ernest Givens on the inside, so they generally get safety coverage. Here, Thomas Everett, 27, is the man who's supposed to cover Drew Hill. That's his 67th catch of the year. He has been Warren Moon's biggest weapon in 1989.
And last week he had 10 catches against the Cleveland Browns. First down at the Pittsburgh 35. We're just underway in the first quarter. It is back to the ground for Highsmith. Nothing doing. Greg Lloyd, the outside linebacker, number 95, on the stop. Jerry Glanville said that Greg Lloyd is his favorite player because he's so mean. He says he's the meanest player in the NFL.
Well, he certainly played mean there. You can see the Pittsburgh Steelers with that 34 defense. Now, these are rather stout fellows up there, and those linebackers, Lloyd included, are constantly charging the line of scrimmage. You see Gerald Williams, 98 assists on the tackle, 53 Hinkle there. Lloyd is credited with the tackle.
And it's a loss of 2, a second and 12 at the 37. Moon going sideline, incomplete, intended for Hill. And he was covered by Lloyd.
Warren Moon, when we talked to him on Friday, was willing to admit he was devastated by losing the game to Cleveland. He realizes he does not have a lot of years left, and he wants a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Won the CFL Grey Cup in Canada. Wants to couple that with a Super Bowl championship here in the NFL.
In fact, Bob, Moon won more titles in Edmonton than Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, good, very good. You're absolutely right. 5 in a row the Edmonton Eskimos won.
Oilers and Gretzky winning 4. Off the roll. Pass for Alonzo Highsmith, and he is upset with himself.
Screen was beautifully set up, Marv. Beautifully set up. This is exactly the way you want it. As you look from the far side of the field, I think Highsmith realized there was no one from Pittsburgh down there in front of him, took his eyes off the football.
And so this long drive, 9 plays in all, is stopped by the Steelers, and this will be a 54-yard field goal attempt for Tony Zendejas.
Do you believe it?
He's 25 for 37 on the season, and this one is way short and wide.
Oh, that's a heck of a chance for Jerry Glanville to take, because it gives Pittsburgh great field position for their opening drive of the game, Marv.
Or Glanville showing lack of respect for the Pittsburgh offense. We'll be right back. Bubby Brister and the Pittsburgh offensive unit on the field for the first time. Bubby's mom, Frances, visited with us last night. Made the trip here from Monroe, Louisiana, bringing along Bubby's 5 sisters. Frances walked into our meeting room and immediately said, "Bob, you are so much more handsome in person." And Bob, that's something we've all wanted to express to you, but just never got around to it.
Well, you know, I really didn't know what to say to the lady. She got a nice gift from her youngest offspring.
Yes.
Bubby bought her a new car in Steeler colors. She drives around Monroe, Louisiana with Bubby 6 on it. There's Broadway Bubby, the sign, because Bubby Brister predicted to win today. Last spring wrote on the chalkboard they were going to the playoffs.
And a 1st and 10 for Brister and the Steelers from the Pittsburgh 37. And he goes right to the tight end, Mike Mularkey, who has had a solid season. Grimsley and Smith combined on the stop. It is close to the 1st down marker. And this Pittsburgh offensive line has come together after the shuffling during the early part of the season. And they include a Pro Bowler in the right tackle, Tunch Ilkin. Brister, the quarterback, with Merrill Hodge and the rookie Tim Worley at the running backs. Hodge has had a good year. Worley has come on, as we mentioned earlier. In the shotgun, Dwight Stone and Mark Stock come on. It is a 2nd down, and now they pick up the 1st down. 1st down is indicated, so the Steelers, on the 10-yard reception by the tight end Mularkey, have the 1st down.
Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh, mentioned to me that there's nothing to complain about this team anymore. We use the shotgun and we throw to the tight end.
Taylor's left, Lips right. And now Worley shifts over to the slot. Here's Hodge pulling his way. Merrill Hodge averaging just over 3 yards per carry. He has had shoulder problems throughout the season. In his 3rd year out of Idaho State, picked up 5. Front 7 of Houston, Fuller, Smith, and Jones in that banged up front 3. And in the passing situation, these the changes. Montgomery, Dishman, and Eaton come on. That's the regular Oilers secondary. They have had their ups and downs. 6 minutes gone by, no score in this 1st quarter. Again, Hodge, he is short of the 1st down, stopped by the combination of Doug Smith and Robert Lyles.
Now, Marv, this is, I think, where Houston is going to hurt the most. In these 3rd and short yardage situations, they don't have the big guys to put in there, the real run stoppers. You can see Sean Jones, 96. He's close to 6'7". He's a big, strong kid, but there's lots to shoot at him. I mean, there's a lot to block on him. And their defensive priorities this week, stop the run. No big plays by Lips, and they need 4 big plays. This is where Pittsburgh, who has historically this season had trouble on 3rd down, should be a pretty good team against this defense.
It's a 3rd and 2 at the Houston 45. Brister got the protection. Incomplete. Chris Dishman very aggressively covering Louis Lips.
Highly unusual. Pittsburgh going with the pass on 3rd and short. It looked like Louis Lips was the only receiver. Bubby throws it behind. Watch the hand fighting here. Dishman, he gets his hands on first, and then, a swipe across the face mask, but Bubby throws it behind Lips. He can't make the reception, so 0 for 1 in 3rd down conversions.
And here's Harry Newsom, one of the best punters in the AFC. Pops one to Kenny Johnson, who's a sure-handed punt return man, and in sure-handed fashion makes the fair catch. A 28-yard punt, and Houston gets the ball back. They'll start out from their 18. We'll be back at the Astrodome in a moment. From the Astrodome in Houston, a Happy New Year from all of us here at NBC Sports. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy. The Steelers and the Oilers in the AFC wildcard. First out at the 18, Moon on the roll, going sideline, and it is incomplete. Curtis Duncan not able to hang on. He is covered by the left corner, Dwayne Woodruff.
One of the things Houston likes to do, you see Duncan get up and limp a little bit. Woodruff really put a hurt on him. But the Houston Oilers very seldom have their quarterback, Warren Moon, set up in the same spot. There's a little half roll. He might be 2 or 3 yards left or right of center when he throws the ball. And it's just to buy him a little more time throwing it. Now this one just slips right through his hands. This is not by design, but even on the run, you see Warren Moon with good fundamentals, gets the ball out there. But it's an incomplete pass. Good defensive play by Dwayne Woodruff.
Now the lone deep back is Lorenzo White. White for a short pickup. The Lorenzo White stopped by Gerald Williams and Gerald Williams. Lorenzo, a slashing style runner against the Steelers 4 weeks ago. He ran for 115 yards, scored the winning touchdown in the blizzard conditions in Pittsburgh to win the game.
Yeah, they started out with Rozier, then they went with Alan Pinkett, and then White, whose nickname is Bigfoot because he wears about a size 15 shoe in the snow, was a very, very good running back in bad weather. That's why Jerry Glanville put him in there.
It is a third down and 5 at the 23. 7:20 left in this first quarter with no score. Unable to complete to Ernest Gibbons, who dances for the first down. Rod Woodson, Gerald Williams on the tackle. Ernest Gibbons, 5'9" receiver out of the University of Louisville, with his second reception of the day.
Bob, here's what Houston does with this red gun offense. Here's Gibbons. He's coming in motion and is forgotten here underneath the coverage of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the Houston Oilers have made a living out of this, and it looked like Pittsburgh was in total zone and just forgot about Ernest Gibbons. Easy first down pickup.
Houston first down from their 33. Now they go with the two running backs. There's Rozier getting across the 35-yard line. Carnell Lake up from strong safety to make the stop.
One of the big factors on this Pittsburgh Steeler defense is the way their safety support. 27, Everett rotates back. 37, Carnell Lake, the former linebacker out of UCLA, has the strong safety up there at the line of scrimmage. Historically, Pittsburgh has had great tackling safeties.
Carnell telling us last night it was a very difficult transition from his linebacker position in his college days at UCLA. Said he was lost right at the start of training camp as they switched him to strong safety, although he expected to make the transition. Second down and 7 at the 36. Again, Moon gets the time and just throws one away. Just firing downfield as he had pressure from the nose tackle Gerald Williams.
Miscommunication there. Looked to me like Gibbons or Duncan were going to be the primary receiver, but Gibbons broke out and Duncan didn't look for the ball.
So Moon now thinking about a third down and 7 from his 36. Today's winner goes up against the Denver Broncos next week in Denver in the divisional playoff at Mile High Stadium. Earlier this season, Pittsburgh was walloped in Denver 34-7. Houston did not play Denver this season. And the third and 7, White with the cut falls short of the first down, and now the Oilers hearing it from the crowd. Gerald Williams on the stop of White. So the crowd turning with Houston not able to do anything on this second series.
You know, this is not a bad idea to try to run a trap up through the middle here because you've got the defense spread all over the field. Pittsburgh runs a game, and that's why Gerald Williams, 98, is basically out of position and able to make the tackle. The fans don't like it, but it's sound.
And Greg Montgomery, who's had an excellent season, turning it from last year, punting to Rod Woodson, who has made the Pro Bowl as the kick return man. Returned the opening kickoff last week against Tampa Bay, 72 yards. Oh, it is blocked.
Alsavsky.
The Steelers, who have excelled in blocking punts, have done it again. Jerry Alsavsky, a rookie from the University of Pittsburgh, with the block.
Lost his starting spot because Hardy Nickerson comes back and is healthy, and Alsavsky comes right up the middle. You could see Houston doing an awful lot of different things at the line of scrimmage to accommodate the different movement by the Pittsburgh punt rush. And there's Alsavsky doing an outstanding job laying out in front of the punter. He blocks it. And again, Pittsburgh with wonderful field position, this time at the Houston 32. On the punt rush, here's Alsavsky right here. You can see him right up there at the line of scrimmage. He's the one who almost looks like he's untouched. He does a great job. This is the third punt that Montgomery's had blocked in 1989.
So Pittsburgh starts out at the Houston 32, 4:40 remaining in this first quarter, no score. And the handoff to Worley. Has the first down inside the 20-yard line. Run down by Steve Brown and Bubba McDowell.
That was almost the Statue of Liberty. 13 yards on the pickup. You saw Bubby Brister go back like he was going to have a quick pass. He brings it, watch him. He gets it up there so they can see it, then brings it back down. Nice trapping out in front. You see the lead blocker is helping him, John Jackson, and then he gets really hammered, but it's a first down.
He picked up 13, so that's one out of the schoolyard. Very close to the old Statue of Liberty. First down at the 18.
A lot of audibles here by Pittsburgh. Rather unusual.
And Worley in motion. Here's Hodge. Broke a tackle, getting to the 16-yard line. Merrill Hodge hit down by Al Smith and William Fuller. Hodge had a good one last week. 18 carries, 90 yards. Picked up 3 on the play off a second effort. It's a second down and 7. Jerry Glanville told us on Friday at practice that he voted for Chuck Noll as Coach of the Year, although, Bob, he did qualify it a bit. He said he actually voted for Noll's staff, and he also spelled Noll's name K-N-O-L-L, pulling out all the stops. Second down play. The fake to Worley, and Brister's pass went short as he took a hit from Fuller.
Looked like it was intended for Merrill Hodge out of the backfield, but Bubby makes a very smart play. Now you see Hodge 33 coming in motion, and Fuller has a predetermined inside move, and when Bubby turns around, he has no chance whatsoever to even look for the receiver, so he just throws it away.
Third down and 8 at the 16. Now Mark Stock, Dwight Stone come on as the expert receivers. Stock in motion. Brister with time and has Stock right at the marker. Steve Brown, the left corner, with the tackle. It is short of a first down.
Well, this is almost a pick. This is almost a pick. They come back in motion. Watch these two guys. When they get down the field, they are running side by side, and it almost looks like a personal escort for the receiver who breaks out. Stock, and you see the defender. You're going to have to start employing some rules that they use in basketball. That is, when a pick is set, you back off of your man, make sure you get in between your man and the offensive man. That's as close to a pick as you can possibly run and not get a flag.
It is a 4th and 1. Down at the 9, it appears the Steelers will go for it. And a timeout now has been taken. 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Pittsburgh and Houston are scoreless.
USA.
Welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston. Pittsburgh Steelers passing up a 26-yard field goal. Chuck Noll apparently looking to provide confidence for the Steelers, wants the 6 points.
Yeah, Marv, this is a psychological play for Pittsburgh. They've gone for it 19 times this season on 4th down.
It is a 4th and 1 at the 9. And here's Worley, and he drives forward for the touchdown. He broke a tackle. Jeff Donaldson, the free safety, could not bring the 6'2" Tim Worley down.
Marvin, our conversations with the Pittsburgh Steelers, players and coaches constantly remark that Chuck Noll had great confidence in this team, never lost faith in this team. And 4th and inches in the wild card game, he again shows great confidence in his offense, lets them go for it, and it results in the score.
The other point, as we watch players jump offside as Anderson gets set to attempt the extra point. The other point, in that Houston is such a high-scoring team, he may have felt that at this stage 3 points really wouldn't mean that much. In our discussion last night with Tunch Ilkin, he was telling us what he most admired about the job that Chuck Noll has done this season. He said even when the Steelers were playing so poorly at the start of the year, he never got on the team, not caustic, remained calm and very supportive. That's difficult to do, as you know.
Yeah, Chuck Noll has done it with a lot of different kind of teams. He's done it with young teams in the 70s, old teams in the 70s, and now here at the end of the 80s, another young team, and it's succeeding.
Anderson tacks on the extra point, so the Steelers now have scored a first quarter touchdown in 4 consecutive games. Over their first 13 games, they accounted for only 3 first quarter scores. Tim Worley taking it in. And Chuck Noll reacting to that touchdown by Worley.
20th time they've gone for it on 4th down situations, and this one produces a touchdown. Excellent lead block by Lewis Lips, 83 on Dishman, and then Worley at 2:30 just powers over Jeff Donaldson, 31 for the score. So if Houston had psychological problems preparing for this football game after last week's loss to Cleveland, they're extended now by Pittsburgh.
And Glanville had said what the Oilers need early is what he labeled an event.
Yes.
Either a turnover, and well, the event, as it turned out, was the block punt on this man, Montgomery. And that gave Pittsburgh the terrific field position they took over at the Houston 32.
Yeah, of course, the Oilers in this building until this season felt almost invincible, winning 7 of 8 here and 18 of the last 22, and then lose to Cleveland last Monday evening. Suddenly, the Houston Oilers begin thinking about their own ability in this house of pain.
But we're still early. 2:53 remaining in the first quarter, and Gary Anderson will kick it off to the combination of Lorenzo White and Tracy Johnson. And apparently they are readjusting the clock. We see 2:53 remaining in the quarter, and they also have difficulty with the microphone of the referee, Pat Haggerty. It is 2:53 left in this opening quarter.
And Marv, I think we just had the first flag, and it was on, I don't know who it was on. It was on Pittsburgh, or it was on Houston on the extra point attempt. They averaged 9 a game, so they're off to a slow start penalty-wise.
Well, it skips by White.
Oh, stay in there.
And he tries to run it out.
Marv, that was a muff. He could have stayed in the end zone. They would have got the ball at the 20. That's not knowing the rules. When the ball skips through the receiver's hands, it's considered the impetus of the ball. He may have touched it. That's fine. He does not have to bring it out of the end zone. He just cost his football team 15 yards.
And Jerry Olszewski, the man who blocked that punt moments ago off the foot of Greg Montgomery, made the stop on White. So here are the Oilers in a hole once again.
Yeah, they start the game at their own 19, then their own 18, and now their own 5. That's a lousy start in a playoff game, because field position in playoff games may be the most critical factor.
It is 7-0 Pittsburgh. Houston first down at their 5. Moon to throw from the end zone, now has to run out, preventing the safety, and was able to flip to Rozier. Warren Moon eluding a safety as he flipped it to Rozier.
Keith Willis comes from the other side of the field, and this ball originally is intended for Drew Hill, who's going way down the field. But Moon recognizes, uh-oh, there's pressure, got to get away from here. I'm not sure you can call that a pass, but he does advance the ball to Rozier for about 3 yards. You see Lloyd make it 5 yards. Lloyd tries to get his hands up there, but that is a great play by Warren Moon, avoiding the safety.
It is a 2nd and 5. The ball inside the 10. Just under 2 minutes to go in this first quarter. Rozier short of the first down. And again, the Oilers hear it from the crowd. The nose tackle, Gerald Williams, who has come back from a mild concussion suffered last week, making the stop.
Jerry Glanville, unique in a lot of ways in the NFL. His like of Jerry Jeff Walker, the country and western singer. who's in a hospital in Dallas having back surgery, and he is also the only head coach in the NFL that I know of that calls both the offensive plays and the defensive plays. So when there's problems with the Oilers, that's why he gets most of the heat.
It is a 3rd down and 3. Houston with the 4 wide receivers.
Oh, they forgot Gibbons again.
It is Gibbons on the reception for the 1st down. So Ernest Gibbons with his 3rd catch of the day. The strong safety Carnell Lake on the stop. Talking about Glanville facing the heat the past few weeks with reports which he feels are inaccurate concerning his future with the Oilers, and the insiders and Bob Costas did deal with it on NFL Live earlier. Glanville has 1 year remaining on his contract, and Houston owner Bud Adams, quoted in the newspapers here, as saying Glanville is not on the griddle. That according to Bud Adams. 1st down at the 19th. And Moon with the sideline feed again. It is Gibbons. And another Houston 1st down with a penalty marker throw. A 15-yard hookup if it holds.
Now that time, Houston with 2 running backs. Ooh, Gibbons really favoring his left leg. It's Woodruff 49 versus Gibbons. Gibbons with outstanding speed. Nice quick pattern. Great receivers have that acceleration. Oh, you can see lands on his leg, gets outside the knee joint. That looked pretty severe, even though he bounced up a little bit there. Anytime you get your weight outside that knee joint, that's when you're going to have problems.
And the penalty was called against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Apparently we're still having some difficulties with the microphone of the referee, Pat Haggerty. So the play holds up. 1st down at the 40. Time runs down in this 1st quarter. Moon stopped as he heard the gun sound. So that is the end of quarter number 1 here on the House of Pain. The Pittsburgh Steelers with a 7-0 lead. Well, you look at the stats, and you would not recognize the fact that Pittsburgh is up by the score of 7-0, but field position and a blocked punt turned things around.
No question about that. Pittsburgh has done the best job of pinning Houston back, and then that blocked punt produced the points.
2nd quarter underway, and the Oilers to the ground. Alan Pinkett now gets the call, so Jerry Glanville shuffling the running backs. We've seen Rozier, Pinkett, White, and Highsmith all on the run. Hardy Nickerson making the stop. Pickup of 2. It'll be a 2nd down and 8. Oilers trailing 7-0 despite the fact they had possession of the ball 11 out of the 15 minutes in that 1st quarter.
I wonder if Jerry Glanville realizes he's wearing the same color as Chuck Noll, his good friend on the other side of the field. The man in black. There's 2 of them here today.
Somehow I don't think that Noll's selection of wardrobe was dictated by Glanville. Gibbons again for a 1st down and more. And a penalty marker is thrown. Gibbons stepping out at the far side.
That's the 5th catch now for Gibbons, and they've not covered him yet. 21 yards on the reception, holding against Houston. This is going to be on Haywood Jeffries. Haywood Jeffries has got a good block out here. They've yet to cover Gibbons from this formation. There he is right in front of you. Now as he turns upfield, David Little 50 is the man in coverage, but to your left should be the hold. There it is by Haywood Jeffries. Nullifies a 21-yard gain. The hold is absolutely unnecessary too. He's holding Rod Woodson 26. It's not necessary because Gibbons gains about 3 more feet.
Instead, it sets it back to a 2nd and 18 at the 32. The Houston Oilers leading the NFL in number of penalties, and that set a record. And they finished in strong fashion last week against Cleveland Saturday night, chalking up 12 penalties.
They average just over 9 a game.
Correction, it's a 1st down, 1st and 10 at midfield. And Moon puts up some yardage. That was not his intent. He was looking downfield, and everyone covered. David Little ran him out. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the contest.
The unquestioned leader of the Houston Oilers, Warren Moon. Everyone looks up to Warren so much. It's interesting that he said his son got him out of the doldrums of the loss last week to Cleveland. When his son walks in the locker room and says, "Daddy, why is everybody so quiet and why are people crying?" And Warren Moon told us, he said, "Well, then I suddenly realized this is just a game," and he began to get better in preparation for the Steelers this week.
2nd and 5 at the 44. And Moon completes for the first down. Haywood Jeffries with his first catch of the day took the hit immediately from Carnell Lake.
Boy, Marv, can you see they're making these receptions, Houston, in just about the same spot on every catch? Again, it's going to be just the middle circle route. Jeffries runs the cross, and here again, this is where Gibbons has been catching it. This is underneath coverage. It's not working. 37 Carnell Lake was the man who was supposed to be there with him. Moon with the time to throw it, and he's finding these guys open in the same spot underneath the linebacker coverage.
Good season for Jeffries, second year out of North Carolina State. Caught 47 balls. First down at the Pittsburgh 37. And Moon deep downfield and broken up. Intended for Jeffries, and Dwayne Woodruff able to get a hand on it.
In the red gun, Marv, the Houston Oilers do one of two things with their outside receivers. They either run a hitch or they run the go. Now Moon is looking all over the field. There is pressure all over him. That's Keith Willis at his legs. He's able to get it off. But watch this. Woodruff drops off. Just a foot race. The ball underthrown because of the pressure by Keith Willis. Almost intercepted by Dwayne Woodruff. But it goes as an incompletion, 2nd and 10.
And there's Dwayne Woodruff, 32 years old, the Steelers' oldest player. Goes back to the Super Bowl days of this Pittsburgh franchise. 2nd down and 10, and again Moon going deep, has a man. Oh! Curtis Duncan had a sure 6 as he beat Dwayne Woodruff.
Boy, here's the secret to this pattern. Watch when Duncan gets by Woodruff. Then he tries to get right in front of him. So if Woodruff's going to the ball, he's got to go through the receiver, but it just bounces right off of Duncan's chest. That ball should have been caught. Moon saying this one is on the money. And then he sees the ball come loose. No, I can't throw it any better. That was a great job by Duncan, putting himself between the defender and the path of the ball.
And Duncan has had an excellent season. 7 catches, career high last week against the Browns. 43 catches in all. It's a 3rd and 10, and then Moon says, let's talk it over. Timeout has been taken. 2 minutes have gone by. In the second quarter, it's a 7-0 Pittsburgh lead. The big play of the block punt by Jerry Olszewski of Greg Montgomery. It gave Pittsburgh the ball at the Houston 32, and they were eventually able to work it down. The end result, a touchdown run by the rookie Tim Worley. When we resume, Houston with a 3rd and 10 from the Pittsburgh 37. 10th play of the drive is coming up, a drive that began way back on Houston's own 5-yard line. That the result of Lorenzo White after a muff trying to run one out. Now we'll take a break. Back in Houston after these messages. Back in Houston, this the big play in the first quarter. The block punt by Jerry Olszewski of Greg Montgomery. It gave Pittsburgh the ball in great field position. They eventually ran it in, and a 7-0 lead is the story as we resume. Moon is able to complete on 3rd and 10. Drew Hill on a 16-yard pickup, stopped by Larry Griffin.
Oh, they're killing him down through that zone. Houston is just tearing them apart.
Warren Moon is now 9 for 15, 116 yards.
Now you see the combination there of Gibbons short, and Hill goes this time on top of the underneath coverage, finds the dead spot, I mean, this is too easy. The Pittsburgh defense has got to tighten up here. They're playing a lot of zone. You can see that Houston is owning the clock.
Gibbons, 81 in motion. First down at the Pittsburgh 21. And to the crowd, Alonzo Highsmith coughing it up and able to recover as a flag has been thrown. Aaron Jones made the hit on Highsmith.
Holding against Houston.
And the call against the Oilers. Highsmith has had fumble problems in the past.
Glanville's got a problem here. Marv, they're not able to run the football. It is holding against Houston, so it will come back and be 1st and 20. But Houston's unable to run the football here as much as they're trying. Now, they're going to have to run the ball eventually a little bit just to keep the defense honest. Obviously, the passing game, the red gun is working, but you can't use just one aspect of your offense and win the football game.
Houston, 10 rushing attempts, only 29 yards. Oilers hit for their 3rd penalty of the day, and they're set back to a 1st and 20 at the 31. Pittsburgh with a 7-0 lead. And Moon goes to the middle. Short pickup, Haywood Jeffries with his 2nd catch, stopped by Delton Hall, the extra defensive back. Haywood Jeffries, man who has been banged up all season long, just going over the middle to haul it in.
Yeah, you saw Gibbons and Hill clear out, and then Jeffries runs the short cross, only picks up about 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 yards. But boy, there are holes in the middle of that Pittsburgh defense against this red gun offense.
This is the 12th play of the drive. 2nd down, 15.
Green.
And it is completed to Pinkett. Alan Pinkett hearing it from the crowd as he gets to the 15, still shy of the 1st down, but a 12-yard gain. A.J. Jenkins on the stop of Pinkett.
This is well sold by the Houston offense. Chuck Noll not happy with what's happening here. You'll see him push those defensive linemen any way they want to go. Pinkett, there's no one there in coverage at all. No one even close. Woodson helps out on the tackle. 13-yard pickup, so it's 3rd and short.
Alan Pinkett, always a valuable back. Not big, not particularly fast. Excellent quickness and instincts.
They go with a red gun again. Pinkett, the only running back.
It's a 3rd down 3. Gibbons in motion.
Timeout. Second time Warren Moon has had to take a timeout. He doesn't like the look of the defense. And he goes to the sideline to see what he's looking at. I think what he's seeing here, Marv, is the double rotation zone. The corners will come up. The safeties will go out. Both corners up, both safeties out. The spot to get into it is up here in the middle, and I don't think he had the right play called. So he goes to the sideline. Pittsburgh made famous that double rotation zone with Mel Blount in one corner.
Not bad for a defensive alignment that was plotted out for the final time in the Pittsburgh airport last night. The plane delayed, and defensive coordinator Rod Russ was telling us that he conducted the defensive meeting at the airport in Pittsburgh.
They also had a walkthrough in the ballroom of the hotel as their plane was like 3 hours late leaving Pittsburgh. There's Rod Russ. I liked his line. I said, how do you approach a defense that's playing a team for the 3rd time? And he said, I told each one of the guys, win your war.
Well, a reminder, tomorrow you can kick off the new year in style with NBC's Championship Monday College Bowl lineup. And it all begins with the Hall of Fame Bowl. The SEC Power Auburn Tigers take on the Buckeyes of Ohio State. And then Florida State, Nebraska in the Fiesta, followed by the game which will determine the national championship, the Orange Bowl. #1 ranked undefeated Colorado Buffaloes battling the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That is tomorrow on NBC Sports. Colorado certainly with some motivational tools following the statements by Lou Holtz that were picked up.
Lou apparently not happy with that spy microphone, as he called it.
It is a 3rd down 3. Houston trailing Pittsburgh by the score of 7-0. From the Pittsburgh 14, completes to Gibbons again and has a 1st down. David Little on the tackle. Gibbons 6 catches, 61 yards, and we're early second quarter. That's a full day's work.
This is a nice choice route by Gibbons. Again, when Houston runs Gibbons in motion, he comes around here, fakes inside, goes back out. He's got linebacker coverage on him, and you can see the whole pattern unfold. Easy shot for Warren Moon to pick up the first down, and they've not come close to covering that kid, have they?
It is a 1st and goal at the 9. Now Drew Hill flanks to the left. Curtis Duncan is to the right. Moon with the short set. Looked to be some confusion, and Curtis Duncan is upset.
Dwayne Woodruff was the man in coverage. Duncan is claiming that the 5-yard chuck rule was carried a little farther downfield.
So it will be a 2nd down and goal at the 9.
Now this is a very tough spot to run the red gun offense. And you've got 4 wide receivers. The defense is at somewhat of an advantage here because of the end of the end zone. You can't clear out as many defenders as you want down here. Houston's got to be very careful where they throw the ball.
And Moon throwing and completes inside the 5 to Hill. Run out by the outside linebacker, Greg Lloyd.
From the shotgun, good protection throughout this first half. And a lot of linebacker coverage. Greg Lloyd that time 95 trying to cover Drew Hill. That's a mismatch. Number of plays, impressive.
A 3rd and goal at the 3. 6 minutes in, second quarter. Houston trailing Pittsburgh 7-0. Hill 85 peeling off. And we get an official timeout. Flags thrown. Look to be the left guard, Mike Munchak.
Ball start, number 63, offense.
You got it, 63, Mike Munchak.
And has made it to the Pro Bowl for the 5th time in his 8th season out of Penn State.
You can see now he turns around to look at the quarterback. Matthews does, then Munchak does, and then Warren Moon does not allow them a chance to get set. When you're up in a 2-point stance as an offensive lineman, you can move around, but you must be set for a second before the ball is snapped, and that's why it's called false start.
And a costly penalty. It's now a 3rd and goal at the 8.
This may help the Houston offense, though. They've got more room for these receivers to roam, Marv.
Again, movement. And Moon throws. Incomplete. Pass intended for Haywood Jeffries, covered by Rod Woodson.
Oh, this hurts. Go 85 yards and have to settle for a field goal. This is a lot of effort. Here's Jeffries, 84 on Woodson. And you can see all the defenders inside, but still, if Moon can throw it and throw it at the 8 or the 4, I think Jeffries has got a touchdown. One of the few bad passes we've seen Warren Moon throw today.
And now a 25-yard field goal attempt for Tony Zendejas early in the game. Jerry Glanville going for a 54-yard attempt. Zendejas during the regular season, 25 for 37. And this one he drills through. It is officially called 26 yards. So 17-play drive, and it concludes with a field goal by Zendejas. We'll be back in Houston in a moment.
Saturday morning. NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Today's Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. By United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Welcome back to Houston. Marv Albert, Bob Trumpy. The AFC wildcard game. Pittsburgh with a 7-3 lead on Houston. And Rod Woodson awaiting the kickoff from Tony Zendejas. Woodson becoming the 2nd Steeler ever to win an NFL kickoff return title. He has been excellent excellent, but this one is picked up by Ouija Thompson, one of the up men. They want to keep it away from Woodson.
What did Woodson tell us last night? That I'm hoping they're kicking it. They kick it to me. Generally, they kick it short. But Woodson wants his chance.
The only other Steeler to lead the NFL in kickoff return average, Lynn Chadnoy. You remember that name back in 51 and 52.
I beg your pardon? Who?
He was an excellent player.
Lynn Chadnoy? I'll take your word for it.
Stop pretending. First down at the 33, just under 9 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Worley in motion. And Brisker looking that way. Has Worley. Fumbles. And the Oilers recover.
McDowell has it. Bubba McDowell.
Well, earlier this season, as a ball carrier, Worley had fumble problems. He lost 6 fumbles in all, but for the most part, the damage was done early, particularly the first 2 games of the year.
Boy, he's wide open out here, too. Well-conceived play. It looks like 24, Steve Brown strips it away. Bubba McDowell, 25, recovers it. The first turnover of the game in favor of Houston. The block punt does not count as a turnover. So that's that big defensive play that Jerry Glanville was hoping for.
Or as he puts it, the event that he was seeking. Steve Brown, the man who stripped Tim Worley, left corner in his 7th year out of the University of Oregon.
And they come right back with their red gun formation, Mark, trying to get it quick.
Houston starting for the Pittsburgh 41. Play action, and Moon completes for a first down to Gibbons.
Boy.
Make it 7 receptions for Ernest Gibbons for 76 yards. He picked up 16. It was Thomas Everett, the free safety, making the stop.
They have not come close to covering these guys through the middle of this zone. The one thing we see different, Moon going up underneath the center, but the crossing route by Gibbons wide open. Look, he's expecting people to be there to tackle him. There's no one within 5 yards.
And he is so explosive after he makes the catch, although this season he has been affected by a hamstring pull. First down at the 26. 85, Drew Hill comes across. To the outside, Pinkett. Wow. And he is whacked, clothesline by Thomas Everett.
Pinkett gets up with a smile on his face. Apparently it looked worse than it actually was.
That started out as a draw, then Pinkett to the outside.
Yeah, they call this a sprint draw, and then with great foot speed, Alan Pinkett outside. And you can see he does not have a hold of the face mask, but Everett does have a hold of the side of the helmet. And then when he gets up, a little push, a little shove. That's something you normally see Houston do.
Pinkett did pick up 4, 2nd and 6. I should say Houston picking up 4, 2nd and 6 at the Pittsburgh 22. Dump off pass for Pinkett. And works his way down to the 20-yard line, hit by Delton Hall.
That was well defended. Pittsburgh was right out there.
Jerry Glanville says that Alan Pinkett has what he terms avoid ability. He makes you miss on tackles.
Now they have 4 different running backs here, and Glanville uses them interchangeably. Highsmith, the big tough runner. Rozier, Jerry says, is my courage runner. Lorenzo White is out there for bad weather games, and Pinkett, the avoidable runner. Wow.
Well, Houston has owned the football, but Pittsburgh with a 7-3 lead. It's a 3rd down and 4 for Moon. And again completes to Gibbons, but this short of the first down. The right corner, Rod Woodson, on the tackle.
This game is beginning to take on the look of the game up in Pittsburgh, although Pittsburgh, when they played Houston up there, was inside the 20 4 times and got 3 field goals. And now it's happening for Houston.
And now Glanville hears it from the crowd, and a 4th and about a yard by opting for the field goals. And Dejas checking in and will attempt from 34 yards away. The holder, the punter, Greg Montgomery. Dejas 1 for 2 on the day. And you can make it 2 out of 3. They cut it to a 1-point Pittsburgh lead. 6:10 remaining in this first half. The Steelers 7 and the Oilers 6. Earlier today on NFL Live, Bobby Beathard announcing that he will join the San Diego Chargers as general manager following the postseason. Bob Costas with a very emotional send-off. Yes. Very genuine from the heart for Bobby. Coming up at halftime, Bob and OJ will have highlights of that Rams victory over the Eagles earlier today. And Bob will talk to Broncos head coach Dan Reeves and Vikings general manager Mike Lynn. And now Dwight Stone is back for this kickoff instead of Rod Woodson. Stone getting it across the 20-yard line. I know that Woodson is bothered by a touch of the flu, and I can only guess that Chuck Noll is spotting him. So Kenny Johnson on the stop of Dwight Stone, who is back in single safety as Woodson takes a breather on the sideline.
You can see Houston's choice. When Stone is back there, they kick it to the deep man. When Woodson's back there, they'd like to kick it to Weegie Thompson.
So Pittsburgh now first down from their 22. They lead Houston 7-6, 6 minutes left in this first half. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy from the House of Pain in Houston. Lips in motion. And here is Worley. And he took a jarring hit. William Fuller, the left defensive end, and John Grimsley, the Oilers' leading tackler, coming from the inside linebacker position, combined to make the stop.
You can certainly see that Chuck Noll has not changed his mind about how you win in the NFL. You see the pulling offensive lineman. John Reenstra out there to try to make the trap. Fuller and Grimsley on the tackle. This is vintage Pittsburgh offense.
Second down and 8 at the 24. And Worley in motion. It's a draw for Hodge. And Hodge broke tackles. Merrill Hodge is pushed out finally by the free safety Jeff Donaldson, and that surprised the Oilers. 56-yard run by the fullback Merrill Hodge.
When Worley jumps outside on the motion, you can see that it's not a trap. It's just a straight ahead blocking. Hodge with a great move on 54, Al Smith. And then Hodge he doesn't have outstanding speed, but Lewis Lips helps with the tackle, 83. Jeff Donaldson finally gets him out of bounds. Huge run, and certainly at the right time for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh first down at the Houston 27. 5 minutes to go in this first half. Again, Hodge gets the call and works his way to the 25 with a penalty marker down. The nose tackle Doug Smith combining with outside linebacker Robert Lyles to make the stop. The call is against Pittsburgh.
But you can see, Marv, as we mentioned at the top of the show, that the run-stopping defensive line for the Houston Oilers not available today, with Childress out, with Doug Smith with a bad leg and a bad ankle, and with Bird with back spasms. It's going to be tough for Houston to stop this running game of Pittsburgh all day long.
That run by Hodge, his longest of the season, and now we're told a career high. His previous high mark 31 yards. They now call this 49, a 49-yard run, but with that penalty it is sent back to a 1st and 20 at the 37. And Brister couldn't find anybody, and then fires long and overthrows Derek Hill, covered by the right corner Patrick Allen. Bobby Brister looking for Derek Hill, a reliable receiver who has worked his way into the starting lineup, a 3rd-round draft pick out of Arizona. And now Brister has a 2nd and 20 at the 37.
Now, I asked Bubby last night if there was a play that seemed to turn things around for Pittsburgh. He said, yeah, Tom Moore called a 3rd and 1 play action pass in Miami that I completed to Malarkey, and all of a sudden, in the rain, we got a lot of confidence.
Yeah, we telecast that game. A tremendous turnaround for the Steelers, and a nice catch by the tight end, Mike Malarkey.
Beautifully thrown by Bubby Brister. Anthony Spears put pressure on Brister, but this was thrown over the outstretched arms of the defender. It looked like Jeff Donaldson, 31, was the safety. Almost a jump pass. No pressure by Anthony Spears. Watch once again. Malarkey. Grimsley is the man up front there, 59. Beautiful throw. Outstanding catch. First down, Pittsburgh.
First down at the 17. You mentioned the name Anthony Spears. He is a recent addition to the Houston roster. A native of Pittsburgh, but activated from the developmental squad, and with Houston hurting up front, he is seeing some action. And is Hill in motion to the ground for Hodge, galloping his way through, and takes a hard hit at the 10. Bubba McDowell, the strong safety, with the tackle on Hodge. So he picked up 5 more, and Hodge was instrumental in that big victory by the Pittsburgh Steelers in Miami several weeks back, and he has come alive here in the second quarter.
Watch the trap again. Reenstra up through the hole, and then Hodge cuts behind the block just the way you draw it up on the chalkboard. Bubba McDowell finally with the tackle, and that run offense of Pittsburgh now really beating up on Houston.
It is a 2nd down and 2. Merrill Hodge again, this time stopped by Grimsley and Smith, and it is short of the first down. Jerry Glanville, Chuck Noll, not the best of friends. The bad blood between these two started 2 years ago. Noll confronting Glanville after a game here in Houston and threatened him over what he considered the Oilers' dirty tactics. They have not talked since. Add to that, the Oilers were embarrassed by Bobby Brister's insults and his winning touchdown drive at the close of the 88 season. The goal makes for an intriguing storyline. 3rd down and 1. And here's Hodge.
No, I don't think he made it, Mark.
Johnny Meads from the outside linebacker position, along with Al Smith from inside to cut him off. Let's see where they spot it.
Well, we've already seen Chuck Noll go for it once on 4th and short. No reason to think that he won't go for it again. They're going to measure.
Getting back to the scenario between Noll and Glanville, it's a slice of Americana from the World Wrestling Federation that neither coach wants to talk about at this point. From time to time, Glanville will allude to it, and it is short of the first down.
Well, there's certainly no question here what Jerry Glanville's team faces, and that is they're going to go for it on 4th and down. No, they're not. Now, wait a minute, I don't understand this. You go for it on one drive, 4th and short. He's going to let the clock run down to 2 minutes, I just saw him say. Give him a little time to think about it, but why do you do this?
Well, this would be a 25-yard attempt for Gary Anderson.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to kick it here. As soon as the umpire steps away from the football, the clock is going to start. They may want to try to draw Houston off sides. But I don't think they're going to snap it. Blankenship, 60, is the man over the ball.
And we are down to 2 minutes. And that is exactly what is taking place. A timeout is called. 10 seconds on the game clock. 2 minutes to go, first half. And Pittsburgh with a 1-point lead. Pittsburgh 2 timeouts remaining. Houston 1. 2 minutes to go. In this first half, it is a 7-6 Steeler lead. And let's see what Chuck Noll does. He has a 25-yard field goal attempt lined up for Gary Anderson for his first attempt of the afternoon.
But he called the holder, Newsom, to the sideline and talked to him. We might try to trick Houston here and not snap the football at all, draw him off sides.
Now the snap comes through, and Anderson puts it through. So Gary Anderson has extended the Steeler lead to 10-6.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. I mean, they've been, especially in this drive, running the ball very, very well. And he's already gone for it on 1 4th down and short. He chooses not to go for it on this 4th down and short.
Early in the game, he did go for it, and Tim Worley was able to run it home. A 9-yard touchdown run for a 7-0 Pittsburgh lead. Glanville making the point. We're guessing that one of the Steelers was offside.
When centers snap the ball to the holder on punts and place kicks, they move their head. That time Blankenship doesn't really move his head that much. That's allowable. Well, Jerry may be lobbying a little bit, but you know, I don't like this choice by Chuck Noll, because Houston's been able to throw the ball at will out of their red gun, and when Houston gets the ball back, that's all Pittsburgh's going to see is that red gun. And with 1:57 to go, I think they can get it down the field.
Pittsburgh Steelers closing the season, winning 5 of their last 6. You can see the turnaround, although none of those 5 teams that they beat down the stretch had winning records. Those that doubt the Steelers will point out that the victories came at the hands of San Diego, Miami, the Jets, New England, Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh Steelers in their first postseason appearance in 5 years, and as it turns out, among the AFC teams, they are the hottest team entering the playoffs. Long kick by Anderson. Kenny Johnson will stay right there. So the ball comes out to the 20, and we have our first extracurricular action of the day. And this one harmless. Chris Verhulst and Tyrone Stowe involved.
Well, look at the way Warren Moon is throwing the ball. Of his 16 completions, 13 to wide receivers. Last week, of his 32 completions, 23 to wide receivers. And you're going to see the red gun for the rest of this half. Now, Marvin, Pittsburgh's not been able to cover Houston in this situation.
Red gun consisting of the 4 receivers, not a down and distance formation. They go with it at any time. And a first down from the 20-yard line. Just under 2 minutes to go in the half. And Moon off the pump. Able to complete to Duncan out of the 25-yard line. Wayne Woodruff right there for the hit.
And now, key factor here for Houston is they had to waste 2 timeouts in the second quarter. So they have but 1 left.
Ball spotted at the 26, so it's a 2nd and 4. And Moon completes over the middle for the first down across the 35 to Hill, Everett, and Griffin on the stop as the Oilers get to the line quickly. Although Hill is down, apparently shaken up. Now he's all right.
But if he stays on the ground, it'll cost them their last timeout. So he comes off the field. He is replaced immediately.
Clock running down, approaching 1 minute left in the half. And Moon goes sideline, intended for Gibbons. He was covered by Woodson. Ernest Gibbons is the star of the day offensively with 8 catches, 78 yards in this first half.
Now the Steelers are going with 6 defensive backs, a 4-man rush, and of course with only 1 timeout. Now you see Rod Rust, he's playing the mind game against Jerry Glanville, trying to figure out where they're going to throw the football. Pittsburgh has not really put much pressure on Warren Moon throughout this first half. Jerry Glanville lobbying with the officials on the sideline for make them stop holding our receivers.
2nd and 10. And again intended for Gibbons, who took a late hit from Delton Hall.
And the flag is thrown.
Well, Delton Hall, a very aggressive, hot-tempered player, had actually cooled the act down, and now some finger pointing. And Duncan and Everett.
Jeez, this is a hockey game. Fights breaking out all over the place.
Thomas Everett appeared to throw a punch.
There is certainly no question, though, that Bubby Brister, he said before the game it was a war, but that is not a very smart play by Delton Hall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and then he gets him an elbow.
Delton Hall has been a very volatile player.
Personal foul.
And he did calm down. Coaches did not want him to get involved, but because it has cost the Steelers on a number of occasions. Delton Hall in his 3rd year out of Clemson.
It's really in part cost him his starting job. He was making some very dumb mistakes, and he now plays in the nickel. He plays that corner on that side. Woodson comes in on the inside. Personal foul against Delton Hall, and Chuck Noll not happy.
You like to see players give it an aggressive go, but similar to what has taken place with the Houston Oilers, Warren Moon was getting upset that Chris Dishman was getting overly aggressive, and he felt also was motivating other teams, and it was hurting the Oilers in the long run.
Yeah, well, the foolish part of Delton Hall is that he did that, I guess, assuming that no one in this building was watching.
Into the first down at midfield with 55 seconds to go, first half, and penalty markers are thrown, so the play is stopped.
Start number 77, offense.
That's on Bruce Davis, the offensive left tackle. Tackles are in a tough spot when your team is in the shotgun formation. Some offensive tackles look at the deep ender. He can be moved out of his stance. Most try to look at the football so they're not drawn off sides. Davis is right over here on the right. 77 moves that foot. It basically is a response of the defensive end jumping quickly, but
Houston and Buffalo fans will recall Davis had a very strong game against Buffalo in the playoffs last season against Bruce Smith. Now Moon in trouble, able to get it away and broke it up. Intended for Givens, covered by Carnell Lake. It will be a 2nd and 15 with 50 seconds remaining in this first half. Well, last week against Cleveland in the loss to the Browns Saturday night, Moon 31 for 52. He is right on schedule. 18 for 29, 179 yards.
We have a report from the Oilers sideline that Jay Pennison and Mike Munchak are suffering with the flu, both of them.
And Don Maggs has been in at left guard for Mike Munchak. George Yano has seen quite a bit of action instead of Jay Pennison. At center, here's a screen. Alan Pickett.
Fumble. No. He was down. He was down. He was down.
Well, the Steelers recover. They feel it's their ball. We'll get another look at this one, I'm sure.
And we've not gone to the review booth yet today. Nice call as Houston goes right back to the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 6 now for Houston. It's timeout.
And at the timeout situation, apparently they did not review it. And Houston now 3rd and 6 with 24 seconds remaining, first half. Steelers 10, Oilers 6. Moon with time and drop. A host of drop passes by the Houston Oilers. Drew Hill not able to hold on, covered by the free safety, Thomas Everett.
You know, Marv, I wonder, with Houston going with the red gun so much in the first half, if they haven't worn these wide receivers out as Montgomery comes on to punt. 4th down and 6. Ball inside the Steeler 50. The Steeler side of the 50. Glanville's choice is to punt the ball away.
Montgomery had his earlier attempt blocked, and that led to the Pittsburgh touchdown. Montgomery is back at his 40. Down to 19 seconds remaining. Montgomery looking to angle it. And took the hop inside the 10.
Whoops, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did he step in the end zone? You can't come out of the end zone and touch that ball. It looked to me like the guy who was, see if we can pick it up again. It looked like Tracy Eaton at 21. Tracy Eaton, are his heels on the line? You can't come out of the end zone and touch it. I'm not sure I picked it up again. See, we should be able to see it here. Yes, sir. That's a touchback. That'll come out to the 20. You can't come out of the end zone and put the ball down. And that is reviewable.
The umpire should step in. They'll bring that out to the 20-yard line.
Well, let's see, no sign with 10 seconds remaining.
It should come out to the 20, Marv.
But the play develops, and they'll just run the clock down.
Yep. That ball should have been out to the 20 if something out of the ordinary might have happened.
Well, Bob, you'll be chatting with the replay official Jack Fettiano during our halftime break as this first half comes to a close. The Steelers leading the Oilers by the score of 10-6. Coming up at halftime, Bob and OJ, they'll have highlights of the Rams' victory over the Eagles earlier today, and Bob will talk to Broncos head coach Dan Reeves and Viking GM Mike Lynn. So
Steelers are hoping to ring in 1990 with an upset. They are an underdog by about a touchdown coming into this game and leading by 4, 10-6, halftime at the Astrodome, Juice.
Well, they're playing the same type of football they played the second half of this season. They're just hustling. They started doing it with mirrors. They're being outgained over 100 yards on offense, but this team is not a great offensive team. They're last in the NFL, 28th, but they got a strong running game with the absence of Ray Childress and the injuries of Doug Smith. They're running the ball well. That's what they're going to try to do in the second half. And Houston, hey, they're going to have to keep throwing the ball, and they got to get a running game going. But right now, Houston has been out-hustled.
The winner of this game heads for Mile High Stadium next week to take on the team with the best record in the AFC, the Broncos, in the next round of the playoffs. Denver, of course, had a first-round bye. Coach Dan Reeves joins us live now from Denver. Now, obviously, no coach is going to express a preference and give his upcoming opponent any kind of ammunition, so I'll put the question this way, Dan. How would the game be different? Give me an idea of the kind of matchup. Denver against Pittsburgh, Denver against Houston.
Well, I think a matchup with Pittsburgh would be a little bit more of a normal preparation in that we're very similar offensively and defensively. Both play a 3-4 front. Both of us use the old pro style of attack. If you go up against Houston, they're a bare defensive type of a defensive team, and then they use the red gun attack, use the 4 wide receivers a great deal. So it causes us a little bit more problem, I think, coaching-wise, to get ready for Houston because they do so many different things.
How concerned are you by the fact that your team, after the great start, lost 3 of their last 4? Now, admittedly, one of those games was a well-played game in the snow against the Giants at Mile High. Another to the Chargers came after you had no incentive. You'd clinched the division and the home field, but still you lost 3 out of 4. Does it concern you?
Well, certainly that's always a concern, Bob. You'd always like to win. I knew we would have some problems getting up mentally each game because we had clinched the division early, and we never had that experience before. But, we still played well in those games. We had a chance to win all 3 of the ones that we lost, and we just didn't come up with the plays. And certainly that bothers you, but I know that this team realizes now that it's sudden death, and, you just got to put everything on the line now.
Elway's sore ribs, does the extra week help him, or wasn't it serious enough for that to really be a factor?
I really don't think it was a factor at all, Bob. John hasn't been bothered by the ribs in a long time. In fact, he got it hurt against the Steelers early in the season, and, he played as one of those deals that bothers you, but it wasn't that significant of an injury that people should even worry about it.
Dan, we'll let you go. Enjoy the second half here as you look at your upcoming opponent, and we'll see you next Sunday in Denver.
Okay, great, Bob. Thank you.
All right, Dan Reeves, the coach of the Broncos. Let's shift our attentions to the game earlier today at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles were a slight favorite over the Rams, both teams 11-5 during the regular season. The Rams scored on their first 2 possessions, led 14-0. Here's the key play late. The Eagles had cut it to 14-7. Then Greg Bell on this 4th quarter carry on a 2nd and 10 play from the Rams 37, almost busts it all the way. He's hauled down at the 5 after a 55-yard run. He scored the touchdown a moment after that. He rushed for 124 yards for the day and the TD. Jim Everett threw for 2 touchdowns. The Rams win it 21-7. They go on now to play the Giants, while the Vikings will be on the road at Candlestick against the 49ers. After the game in Philadelphia today, the Rams talked about some extra motivation provided by the Eagles.
We have respect for Philly, but we don't respect talk. I mean, talk, the great players don't talk. I mean, it's always the other guys that talk. The great ones just kind of show up and play, and the guys that are along on their coattails do the talking. Talking's never bothered us. Nobody's ever intimidated us. We just came and played, and we physically controlled the game.
There was a lot of motivation for us. They can go ahead and plan on playing Frisco next week, but they ain't going.
I told the player this year isn't the way I wanted to remember this season. We had a great season, beat some excellent teams. We deserve to be in the playoffs. Of course, I think the Rams did too, and they did a good job today.
As we said, the Ram win means that the Vikings must travel to San Francisco to play the 49ers on Saturday. Earlier, I asked Minnesota GM Mike Lynn his opinion of the defending Super Bowl champions.
Well, I don't think there's any question that they are the best team in football, but I think our football team plays well against great teams. It seems like every time we play a great team, we play well. When we play a poor team, we play poorly. So we're glad to be going out to San Francisco and playing the best team in professional football.
You've been very firm in your support of Jerry Burns. In fact, you had a crack this week where you said concerning speculation that Burns might be in trouble, I think people have him confused with the other Jerry.
Well, I thought maybe that was the case because there seemed to be a lot of speculation. There's that shock journalism that I hear, that shock television journalism. Well, not your station, but some other station said that Jerry Burns was in trouble if he didn't win in the playoffs or he didn't win the last game. That's absolutely no truth to that at all. He's never been in any trouble. He's going to be our coach here next year.
Shock journalism here? Certainly not. The Vikings did win 3 of their last 4 as the regular season concluded. The only loss was in overtime at Cleveland, so they come in against the 49ers in good shape. Bobby Beathard, NFL Live Studios, halftime of the AFC wildcard game, and now here's the moment we've been waiting for. Bobby Beathard's year-end ratings of the best and worst in the NFL this season. We start with a positive, the best coaching job.
Boy, there's so many guys that deserve to be in this category, but Lindy Infante at Green Bay really turned that franchise around. People didn't expect much up there with the quarterback he has and what he's done for that team. They didn't make the playoffs, but look for him from now on to be the leading contender in that division.
All worthy selections, but I don't see George Seifert, whose team is 14-2 and the Super Bowl favorite.
Well, they say it's tougher to stay on top than it is to get on top, and I think George did an outstanding job. What I would like to have seen, what Bill Walsh would have done had he stayed there. That would have been even tougher, but he's done an outstanding job there.
Best rookies this year?
Oh, there's so many good rookies, and as you see, the top one there in the AFC, Derek Thomas. He didn't miss a beat. He came from Alabama to the NFL and played every bit as well in this league at this level as he did in college.
Top rookies in the NFC?
Well, Barry Sanders has got to be the best rookie in the league, AFC or NFC. There's no one that can compare to him.
How about the player of the year?
The player of the year, Christian Okoye in the AFC, Joe Montana in the NFC. The story on Christian Okoye is a big, fast guy that not many people knew would become a runner. Marty Schottenheimer and staff made him into the leading rusher in the league.
What about your list of overachievers?
Well, Steve Largent. Every year you go out scouting, you look for guys, and everybody says, here's another Steve Largent. A slow guy, can't run real fast, not very quick. Steve Largent, they said those things about, but this guy's lasted 14, 15 years and been the all-time receiver. Each one of those guys has something in common. They're not great athletes, but they play way better than their ability.
Now let's get to the genuine underachievers. The list, please.
Yeah, Brian Bosworth, we don't even have to go in that. The guy hasn't played in the league, and when he has played, he hasn't played well. But Bruce and Cotton are going to be good in the new defense, but in the old defense they had at Atlanta, they couldn't hack it.
The league's most overrated players, in your opinion?
Well, a lot of this has to do with salary. Brian Bosworth is way at the top. Bill Fralick, a big name, but if you watch a lot of tapes of Bill Fralick, he's not a great football player, but he has a $700,000 salary. The other 2 quarterbacks the same. Deion Sanders, he's a great punt returner. We may never see how good Deion is because too many other things are important to him besides being a good football player.
A bad daily double for Bosworth, but Randall Cunningham being on the list is going to spark a lot of controversy. Now, he didn't play well today. His offense was stifled, and the Rams beat the Eagles. But still, on the most overrated list?
Yeah, I think that that Randall Cunningham and Jim Kelly have got to be on the overrated list because of their salaries. Here's a $3 million quarterback, Randall Cunningham, and I don't think he'll ever achieve that level. But in today's football, guys are being paid more than they're worth, and I think he's too inconsistent to be considered a great quarterback.
Rookies who disappointed you?
Well, I think that Tony Mandrich disappointed everybody, but I think he's going to be a great offensive tackle. It's just that he came to training camp late.
Evidently in a class by himself, a list of 1. Biggest disappointment from a team standpoint?
Oh, there are a lot of them. Chicago had so many injuries, but they don't have the quarterback to win, and they lost Dan Hampton, the heart of their defense. Minnesota Vikings, quarterback problems. Buffalo Bills, all sorts of problems that cause the inconsistency and injuries. And in the Houston Oilers, they're always so inconsistent.
Okay, now appropriately, as a once and future GM, the worst trades in the league this year.
Well, that worst trade, Gerald Riggs, I think it'll turn out to be a heck of a trade, but we made that with Atlanta. When
that was your deal.
That was my deal. He got 800 yards this year. It doesn't sound bad, but he missed all the games, and that 800 yards didn't help them win. But I think next year it'll turn out to be a very good trade. Herschel Walker, the Vikings simply gave too much for what they're getting.
Okay, now, Bobby did not include all of the pertinent categories, but we feel now it's only proper to share this valuable information with everybody. The best owner in the National Football League, obviously Alex Spanos of the San Diego Chargers, a man with enough insight to hire Bobby as his GM. The best weather can be found in San Diego, where Bobby has the beach house. Best surfing conditions right there in San Diego. Best uniforms. You got to like that lightning bolt on the side of the Charger helmet. Very stylish. And best lifestyle for a general manager, San Diego. What a situation. If you screw this up, you are really lame. All right, we'll be going back to the Astrodome for the second half of the Steelers and Oilers in a minute. We'll see you after the game, everybody.
The Pittsburgh Steelers has continued in this AFC wild card matchup. Steelers with a 10-6 lead over the Oilers. To clear up some loose ends, there was a play in the final seconds of the first half in which we blew the interpretation.
Tracy Eaton of the Houston Oilers goes into the end zone, then reestablishes himself in the field of play. So the officials were absolutely correct in that. The ball is placed right there where he downs the football. I blew the call. Thanks for sharing the blame. But coming out of the end zone, once you reestablish yourself in the field of play, then you are allowed to down the ball. So the officials were 100% correct.
I prefer to blame it on the guys in the truck, Bob. I don't think you should take the complete credit for this. But the big play in the first half was that blocked punt as Montgomery here was stifled by Olszewski, and this eventually led to the Pittsburgh touchdown.
Yeah, Pittsburgh gets the ball at the 32-yard line. Now, this does not count as a turnover, but it certainly was a key factor in the game, and that Pittsburgh, with great field position, able to get Worley into the end zone, and Olszewski had the big defensive play for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first half.
Worley running it in from 9 yards away on a 4th and less than a yard. And the story in the first half, that Houston red gun offense, although only 6 points are up on the board, but Warren Moon able to pick away, and they have certainly had the better of play, although they're trailing in the game.
Yeah, Gibbons and Hill have 12 receptions between them, and Moon is 19 of 31 for 188 yards. So they've been unable to run the ball, Houston, but when they want to throw it, with the exception of the last drive there just before the end of the first half, they got it done. And of course, if you look at the halftime stats, look at the time of possession in favor of the Oilers, and to only have 6 points on the board, they got inside the 25-yard line of Pittsburgh twice, but could only come up with 2 field goals.
Third meeting of the season between these two clubs, and the question is, can the Houston Oilers pull off the hat trick? It is so difficult to win 3 out of 3 in one season. Back in October in Houston, Oilers beat Pittsburgh 27-0. Houston's first shutout in 9 years. They held Pittsburgh to 132 yards, and then December in Pittsburgh in blizzard-like conditions. Houston pulling one out over the Steelers with a touchdown in the final minute, 23-16. The Oilers trying to become only the 3rd team since divisional play in 1970 to beat a team 3 times in one season.
Well, you know, Marv, I think that loss to Houston and Pittsburgh in that snowstorm really gave Pittsburgh a great deal of self-confidence, because they played Houston tough, and it was a very controversial extra timeout, and also a very questionable call on the sideline in the snow that allowed Houston to pull that victory out coming from behind. So Pittsburgh to this point psychologically hanging right with the Houston Oilers. All they have to do, Pittsburgh, is figure out a way to stop that red gun.
And that's Rod Woodson, the #1 kickoff return man in the NFL. He is headed to the Pro Bowl for those honors, and Tony Zendejas will kick it to Woodson. It's the Steelers 10 and the Oilers 6.
I'm not so sure Zendejas will kick it to Woodson. He might kick it short again to Ouija Thompson.
That's the case earlier today. We also saw Dwight Stone back there instead of Woodson. But this one in the vicinity of Woodson and carries out of bounds.
What a concession to Rod Woodson. They'll give it to Pittsburgh at the 35 as opposed to allowing Rod Woodson to return it. Come on.
We were not ready for the kickoff.
Okay. So we'll kick it again.
Well, that is an intriguing development. We were not ready for the kickoff, so they'll do it again. Rod Woodson comes in, averaging 27 yards per kickoff return. He returned the opening kickoff last week against Tampa Bay for 72. Earlier this year, he ran one in from 84 yards away against the San Diego Chargers.
And if you can take him out of Pittsburgh's game plan here, which is a big kickoff return, and you've done a whale of a job.
Rod Woodson telling us last night that aside from his duties as a corner and as a kickoff return man, he still has hopes someday of lining up as a receiver.
Yeah, well, Chuck Noll certainly canceled that idea several weeks ago when we talked to him, huh? Said, no thanks. You know, we think he's got a lot to learn on defense. We'll leave him over there. I kept lobbying, though.
Yes. Rod appreciated it. Well, the short kick again to an up man.
Oh, that's Woodson.
Well, Woodson coming up for it. And he is hammered out of bounds as he crossed the 40-yard line. Dishman and Johnson combining. So Woodson on the short kickoff return.
But see, with this high kick like this, it really doesn't allow Woodson or the Pittsburgh Steelers to set up any kind of return because the coverage men are there. They're right at the wedge, and there's no room for Woodson, even though he does still pick up some yards.
Pittsburgh starting out at their 41-yard line. Bubby Brister at quarterback, Merrill Hodge and Tim Worley are the running backs. Receivers are Lips and Hill, and Lips has been quiet. No receptions to this point. Oh, hard hit on Worley. Al Smith with the hit, and a flag is thrown.
What a hammer.
False start.
Procedure penalty against Pittsburgh.
This takes great timing to be right there at the hole when the running back gets to the line of scrimmage, and Al Smith really stuck his head right in there. The penalty, I believe, is going to be on Terry Long. The right guard comes early, but watch Smith. Wham! Boy, that is definitely a picture-perfect tackle. Worley off the ground, so it looked a little more dramatic than it really was.
Al Smith, the man who's come back from a fractured toe injury out of Utah State from his right inside linebacker position. First down 15, back at the 36. Steelers 10, Oilers 6. We're just getting underway. Third quarter. Bristol, and it is dropped by Worley.
That's just Brister's 8th pass attempt of the day. He's completed 4. Not many yards throwing the ball. The big yardage has come primarily on one run by Merrill Hodge. He's got 68 yards rushing in the first half, and Worley's got 25 with a touchdown. Worley's the outlet receiver. Should have this ball. But there's good coverage right there. He's not going to go far because 93 Robert Lyles was ready to make the tackle.
It is a 2nd and 15 at the 36. Crowd chanting defense. Off the draw, nothing. Merrill Hodge stopped by John Grimsley. Grimsley leading the Oilers in tackles for the 3rd time the last 4 years. Made it to the Pro Bowl last season.
This is the sticky defense run by Houston. They come with a blitz, and they try to trick Houston. Brister goes back like he's going to throw the ball and then just kind of sneaks it to Merrill Hodge, but Grimsley there to make the tackle for a loss.
It is a loss of 4. 3rd down and 19. Back at the 32. Opening minute, 3rd quarter.
Sticky defense again. 9 men at the line of scrimmage for Houston.
And Brister looking for Stone. Stone covered by McDowell. And the Steelers go into punt formation.
Heavy pressure on Bubby Brister. Lots of people coming in. Johnny Meads, 91. Doug Smith. Brister doesn't have a chance to set up. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Pittsburgh try to block a punt here. Steelers did it on Houston. Let's see if Houston tries to do it on Pittsburgh.
Barry Newsom with his second punt of the day. He is back at a 16. McDowell.
Bubba McDowell.
So the Oilers do block Newsom. Well, Bubba McDowell in college, a punt blocking specialist, 9 during his collegiate career. Last year, Newsom had 6 punts blocked, an NFL record. Went the entire season until last week before he had 1 blocked, and that right at the end of the game at Tampa Bay.
McDowell is the second man in. There is so much time consumed with this guy that McDowell is able to get in there quickly and block the punt. Pittsburgh did it to Houston. Houston does it to Pittsburgh. Great field position at the Steelers 16. From behind, Newsom has no chance. McDowell is in there cleanly.
So Houston looking to capitalize. First down at the Pittsburgh 15. And off the pitch, it is White. Lorenzo White stopped by David Little. And the Oilers not able to generate anything on the ground.
First half, 11 rushes, just 34 yards. At the 12th rush, I think Newsom even got injured. Looks like he got a shot in the mouth there. He's looking at his trainer's looking at his lip. Unusual to have punters draw blood.
Now Bob. It's a second down and 7 at the 12. Highsmith and White are the running backs. Off the fake handoff is Alonzo Highsmith for a short gain. Woodruff and Nickerson combining on the tackle.
Tight end was open in the end zone. Warren Moon did not see him. But watch the tight end. Morosco, 87, released down the field, the bottom corner of the screen. He's wide open, but Moon can't see him. Nice big hit by Hinkle, 53, Woodruff, 49, and Artie Nickerson comes in behind. Now 2 tight ends in for Houston.
That's Chris Verhulst and Bob Morosco on the double tight end combination. Third down and 2 at the 7. This the result of the blocked punt. And Lorenzo White is stopped back behind the line.
Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, blows up Yarno, the center.
And you hear the reaction from the crowd as the field goal unit checks in.
Watch Gerald Williams, 98, just shoves Yarno back and is able to get his hand on Lorenzo White for a loss.
And now a 26-yard attempt. It's a 4th and 4 at the 9. And Tony Zendejas, who is 2 for 3 on the day, missed from 54, hit from 26 and 35. And Zendejas puts the Oilers within 1. 3.5 minutes gone by in the 3rd. It's Pittsburgh 10 and Houston 9.
Not all rebates are equal. Dodge introduces the guaranteed rebate. Now you get $1,000 to $2,000 on Dodge's best. 1990 Dodge Caravan, Daytona, Dodge Dakota, and most Ram Tough pickups. If the rebate goes up during this model year, we'll pay you the difference. The guaranteed rebate from Dodge. No other car company has ever done that. Offer ends soon.
Wouldn't it be great if lawyers showed up to tell you that someone you didn't even know left you like $8 gazillion? And wouldn't it be great if the lawyers brought beer? Really great beer like Keystone. The fresh, cold filtered beer in a can that tastes like beer in a bottle because of Keystone's specially lined can. And wouldn't it be great if your boss called demanding information and you said, call 411. Introducing Keystone and Keystone Light. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
A century of incredible change. Merrill Lynch believes it will culminate in a decade of extraordinary opportunity, and our insight can help you make the most of it. Merrill Lynch, we're bullish on the 90s.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by the Chrysler Corporation, the only car company with a guaranteed rebate. By Merrill Lynch, we're bullish on the 90s. And by New Keystone and Keystone Light, bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
From the House of Pain, the Astrodome in Houston, Happy New Year from all of us here at NBC Sports. Pittsburgh with a 1-point lead on Houston as Tony Zendejas gets set to kick it off. The deep man is Ron Woodson. And this time Zendejas does go deep, very deep. And Woodson will stay right there.
Let's go back a little bit to the block punt by Bubba McDowell. It'll come from the left-hand side of the screen, almost untouched. Now the difference, Pittsburgh blocked the punt by Houston. Now watch this play by Gerald Williams, the nose tackle. Yarno, the center, is eaten alive. Gerald Williams there to make part of the tackle, really blew up the play. So Houston's been inside the 20 3 times, but just gotten 3 field goals.
And Houston the best in the NFL with 9 blocked punts over the last 2 years. And as Tim Worley stopped by the outside linebacker, Johnny Meads, a short pickup for the rookie out of Georgia, first-round draft pick, the 7th selection overall.
Well, the Houston defense has come out in the second half now, and they're fired up. There's no question about that.
And this is a Houston front three without Ray Childress, their best defensive lineman, out with a broken leg. Richard Byrd, Doug Smith, both playing hurt. 2nd and 9. And the completion to the tight end, Malarkey, for a first down, but a penalty flag has been thrown. Donaldson with the stop on Malarkey. And here's Pat Haggerty.
I think this is going to be against Dishman. Dishman was playing the corner.
Used to the hands, to the face. Number 28, the defense, decline, first down.
Dishman is covering Derek Hill, and you saw the hand go right up to the face mask. And he does it again, and he gets caught. So first down for Pittsburgh. He does it twice.
And Dishman pointing in the direction of the Pittsburgh Steelers. White Stone is now flanked to the right side. First down from the 32. Good block by Hodge, giving Brister the time, and it is incomplete.
Boy, did he rifle that one? Whoa!
Through the hands of Lewis Lips, who has yet to catch a pass.
Bubby Brister, who tried his hand at baseball, he's looking right first and then comes back to the left, and when he rolls out, boy, he gets everything into this one. And that thing slides through Lewis Lips' hands. That was a cannon shot by Bubby Brister.
Back coming out of high school, he felt he wanted to play baseball. Drafted by the Detroit Tigers, played instructional league ball with the likes of Howard Johnson and Glenn Wilson. Manager was Jim Leland, now the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2nd down 10 from the 32. And Brister completes to Worley, who's tripped up at the 34 by Allen and Lyles.
Patrick Allen is down and looks like out. It appeared that he hit the knee of Tim Worley. Well, he's moving.
Patrick Allen, the Oilers' right corner, in his 6th season out of Utah State. Not having one of his better seasons.
Well, happened to your right. Allen goes to cut the legs out from Tim Worley. Looks like a knee right on the helmet, and he's out before he hits the ground.
Here she comes, little
Bonnie is coming home.
Firstborn child, it's a new time for you. There's a stranger in the house today.
You want to say hi to your baby sister?
So what's all the fuss? Why she's so special to us? Are you wondering how long she'll stay?
Beautiful blue eyes.
Do you think that we'd forget you? Are you fearing the worst? Do you think we don't remember?
I have blue eyes first.
It's a good time for the great taste.
You free for lunch?
Of McDonald's. It's a good time for talking it over cheeseburgers, man to man.
Somebody's going to have to show her the ropes. Someone who's been around the block a few times.
Taking time to understand.
Think Bonnie might like these, Dad?
Sooner or later.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
There's never been an offer like this before. Now, for the first time, for 45 days only, Chrysler-built minivans are on sale. The world's best sellers with over 2 million satisfied customers. Now you get $1,000 on the 1990 Dodge Caravan. It's never been on sale before. It may never be on sale again. Dodge Caravan. From Dodge. Offer ends January 31st.
Return to the days of yesteryear on Today for
The new kind of television.
all this week, memories and surprises when former Today hosts John Chancellor, Hugh Downs, Joe Garagiola, and Tom Brokaw join Brian Gumbel. Today, the show that was first is still the best.
You'll see right behind Tim Worley, Patrick Allen goes low, hits Worley's knee, knocks him out. He's up on the sideline, appears to be okay, but a little bit stunned.
And Chris Dishman has come on, replacing Patrick Allen. Pittsburgh 3rd and 7 from the 35. And Brewster, incomplete. Intended for Mark Stock, covered by Robert Lyles. So Houston holding off Pittsburgh, and Harry Newsom will come on in his last punt attempt. He was blocked. Newsom averaging 41 yards per punt. Back at his 20. Let's see how the Oilers play it following the block.
Looks like they have the same alignment. Dishman on the outside on the left. Bubba McDowell right inside.
McDowell, the major threat. Here they come, and he got it away. And Kenny Johnson lost it. It is Dwight Stone off the muff, coming up with the ball.
Kenny Johnson tries to make the catch off the bounce. Very poor choice twice now by Pittsburgh, by Houston on the kicking situations, and Pittsburgh with great field position. Wow.
Well, the Steelers have been very successful as an opportunistic team. They have turned things around in the giveaway takeaway area, and it was Kenny Johnson, a 10-year pro out of Mississippi State, usually noted as a sure-handed return man. They don't look for anything fancy from Johnson.
Pat Haggerty and his crew discussing this entire situation. When Johnson turns around, the ball is just stripped away by Stowe. Could they be determining whether or not the forward progress was stopped? They got to give that ball to Pittsburgh. It is Pittsburgh's ball. So you had Lorenzo White with a muff go back in the end zone, take it out, and only get to the 5. And here on the punt return, very, very poor choice. Now, I think they're taking it back to the spot where it was recovered by Stowe, by Dwight Stone, and I think Johnson knows what a poor choice it was. Now, where Stone takes it away, that's where Pittsburgh gets it. Last time they had a big turnover like this led to the touchdown run by Tim Worley. They're still talking, Marv.
Ruling is you can't advance a muff, and that is why they are establishing.
The play stands as
Here it
ruled.
is.
First down.
All right, play does stand, but they established Dwight Stone at the 27-yard line. That is where he took it away from Kenny Johnson. So with 9:27 remaining in this third quarter, the Steelers take over. And off the draw, Merrill Hodge, the ball carrier. Fuller and Grimsley combined to make the stop on Hodge. Pick up a 3. Second down and 7. Steelers 10. And the Oilers 9. Worley on a 9-yard touchdown run following a blocked punt in the first quarter. Field goes by Zendejas from 26, 35. Then Anderson hit from 25. 10-6 Pittsburgh at the half. And here in the third it was Zendejas connecting from 26 yards away following the blocked punt of Newsom. Second down and 7. Brister, incomplete. Oh, through the hands of Dwight Stone.
That one he put right in the breadbasket, and somehow it gets away from Stone. Steve Brown was the man in coverage. There's Frances Brister, Bubby's mom, sitting with Bubby's 5 sisters.
She's
yes,
saying
we can.
Yeah, my poor baby. Bobby Brister wearing number 6 because he is the 6th in a family of 6. They made the trip from Monroe, Louisiana. Bobby in the second half only 2 for 7, 11 yards, facing a third down and 7.
Whoops. Hodge move.
Yes, penalty marker is down. Look out, Brister. Ready to go. Getting involved with Eric Fairs.
She's watching. Don't hurt my Bubby. Moms are always like that. But the penalty is going to be against Pittsburgh. Merrill Hodge moved. Oh, turning in some mistakes here on both sides.
Upset as the ball being set back to a third down and 12.
I don't know what Bubby's complaining about. You have 2 guys in motion. Hodge moves out of the stance. There's no question about that whatsoever. Mark Stock was coming in motion. Wait a minute, this ends up being a major penalty here. Bubby is still hot.
Well, they are saying
Bubby is yelling at the officials all over the field.
They are saying that was the third down play, and now it's a 4th and 22. And here is Newsom. Fair catch being faked as the ball carries down inside the 5-yard line.
Certainly a missed opportunity there for Pittsburgh. After the turnover, they get no points.
And a 36-yard punt is downed at the 4.
Last play, you see Merrill Hodge break out of his stance. That's illegal procedure. Now, what's happened here is they count this as a sack. And that's why it ended up 4th and 22, and Bubby was very, very upset with the officials on the sideline and all over the place. Chuck Noll tries to get him away.
It was ruled illegal shift. They refused the penalty, and so the play was taken. And it was the first sack of the day. You see all the movement. Tight end Chris Verhulst look to be the guilty party as Houston takes over first down at their 4. Steelers 10, Oilers 9 with 8:27 remaining in this third quarter. And once again, a discussion.
No question that the tight end jumped off sides.
Well, following the swift-moving first half, we have come to a standstill here in the third quarter, and several discussions, and let's see what the call is from Pat Haggerty.
Offsetting penalties, encroachment defense, false start.
Normally they call it on one or the other. They don't call it on both.
So it is a do-over. First down from the 4. Way we're going here, Bob, this game started in 1989, could end in 1990.
Oh, please, come on. Come on. Not yet. We got a long way to go here.
And Moon on the inside, handoff for Rozier, and a short pickup. Still nothing happening on the ground for the Oilers. Keith Willis with the stop of Mike Rozier. Well, tomorrow, kick off the new year in style with NBC's Championship Monday College Bowl lineup. It gets underway with the Hall of Fame Bowl, then the Fiesta, and the Orange Bowl to determine the national championship. That's tomorrow here on NBC. It's a second down and 7. Rozier again. And again, nothing.
Well, I'll tell you, this Pittsburgh defense has done an outstanding job of stopping the run of Houston. That time it looked like Tim Johnson, 78, was the first man to make contact. This is a huge offensive line that, for the most part, is a good blocking offensive line, but the Pittsburgh defense just offsetting ever so slightly. They're not giving that offensive line a good, real chance to shoot at them. Now look at you see the nose tackle is offset ever so little, and then you can see the bodies in there, and Rozier has to kind of bounce around a little bit. 93 Willis makes the first contact. But here comes the red gun for Houston.
And it's a third down and 6 at the 8. And Moon in trouble, able to scramble, and short of the first down. Moon could not find a receiver. Rod Woodson on the cover-up. So Greg Montgomery will check in, and the Oiler crowd reacts.
Here again now, Houston. Moon flushed out of the pocket. He brings the ball back down, but Houston again now really on the negative side when it comes to field position. Rod Woodson makes the tackle.
And Woodson is back deep at midfield. Line drive for Montgomery. Woodson, 45, and works his way down to the 42. Tracy Eaton on the stop. 47-yard punt and an 18-yard return by Woodson. So Pittsburgh gets it back. 6:07 remaining in the third.
Your need to know all week long. Dial 1-900-454-3500 for NBC Scores Plus. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere in the USA.
And next weekend, join us for the AFC Divisional Playoffs. Saturday, the Dogs barking up a storm in Cleveland. The AFC East champion Buffalo Bills will make their way to the Dog Pound. Charlie Jones, Merlin Olsen will bring you that one. And Denver against the winner here between Houston and Pittsburgh and Dick Enberg. And Bill Walsh will be at Mile High for the play-by-play. First down at the 42, Pittsburgh taking over. And Hodge stopped by John Grimsley. We have 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the Steelers leading the Oilers by the score of 10-9. And this, Bob, Pittsburgh's type of game.
No question. Brister just 14 attempts on the day, just 2 of 7 in the second half, and I would certainly expect Pittsburgh to run the ball on this drive and keep running the ball. They don't want to throw the ball up for a chance of a turnover.
2nd down and 6 at the 38. 83 Lips in motion. And Worley is tripped up. Stopped by Johnny Meads.
Now I would think in this 3rd down situation here, it's 3rd and pretty good distance. You might look for a screen. I don't think Chuck Noll or the Pittsburgh Steelers or Tom Moore want to take a chance with throwing the ball down here. If they can get a 1st down here, take some time off the clock, they're going to be in great shape. Let's see who they got as in the running back spot. They bring in their nickel package. That's Hodge as the running back, an excellent receiver.
And Bubby Brister telling us last night he felt Houston is susceptible to the screen. Steelers have not yet converted on 3rd down. Well, they convert right here as Hodge has the 1st down. Merrill Hodge stopped by the strong safety Bubba McDowell, picked up 17.
Excellent call by Tom Moore and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Merrill Hodge just sitting there as a blocking back, and you can see that Merrill Hodge releases out of the backfield. Runs a little circle route across the line of scrimmage. Looks like he's going to block. Is not picked up. Big completion. Drive stays alive.
And a good block thrown by Dwight Stone. 1st down at the 21. 83 Lips, who has been silent to this point in motion. It's Hodge. But he swung out. Could not turn it. Followed by Sean Jones.
Jones did a great job to get out there. That was almost a bust out. When Hodge got to the corner, it looked like he was going to be able to turn up, but you'll see the whole thing right in front of you. And see Terry Long coming out here. If he can get a block on Sean Jones, Hodge is down to the goal line, but Jones does a great job of shedding the block and is there for the tackle.
Sean Jones, one-time Raider, spent 4 years with the Raiders, a 2nd-round pick. The Los Angeles Raiders, imposing physical specimen, 6'7", 273. Loss on the play, 2nd down, 11, back at the 22. And Brister able to complete to Worley, looking for the 1st down, but forced out short of the marker, forced out by McDowell and Dishman.
Steelers on their last 2 big plays, the one to Hodge and this one to Worley, have caught the Houston Oilers in a blitz. And it's been well picked up. You'll see people. There's Jeff Donaldson, 31, coming from the left. Worley is untouched out there. Runs over Bubba McDowell. Brings up 3rd down and short. Oh, this is a great drive for Pittsburgh. Being very, very careful with the football, throwing it short. And Bubby calls a timeout.
Timeout taken with 3:14 remaining. In this 3rd quarter, the Steelers with a 10-9 lead on the Oilers. Winner going on to face the Denver Broncos in Denver next Sunday. Well, tonight, kick off your New Year's Eve festivities with the King Orange Jamboree Parade. Guest host Ann Jillian and Amen's Clifton Davis. And then the Ann Jillian Show followed by Sister Kate. And Bob, America's favorite letter turner, Vanna White, will star in the NBC Sunday night movie Goddess of Love. That's all tonight, right here on NBC.
Bobby's primary receiver today has been the running backs. They have 4 of Brister's 8 completions. The tight end Malarkey has 3. Wide receivers only have 1. Lewis Lips has none. Stock is the only wide receiver with a catch. Jerry Glanville beginning to feel the pressure here now. This drive, an excellent one, started at the Houston 42, and the field position has hurt Houston throughout this game.
Pittsburgh 3rd and short. Down to the 12. Lips in motion. Brister off the roll, throwing incomplete. Intended for Lewis Lips. is now a 4th and short, and the field goal unit coming on.
Lewis Lips is the man who comes in motion here. Patrick Allen, 29, with him. And the pattern is kind of busted a little bit. He comes up, and he's going to go out. And then when Brister is flushed, I think if Bubby sets himself and throws it to Brister, throws it to Lips, it's a completion. But as it is, field goal attempt by Anderson.
It's a 30-yard attempt, and it's good. So Gary Anderson, who earlier hit from 25, is able to connect once again, and the Steelers extend to a 4-point lead with 3:05 remaining in the third quarter. Gary Anderson, man who ranks 3rd in NFL history for career field goal accuracy. Only Nick Lowry and Morton Anderson are in front of him. Pittsburgh Steelers with a 13-9 lead on the Houston Oilers. Reminder tomorrow, a big day on NBC. The Hall of Fame Bowl will get it going, followed by the Fiesta and then the Orange Bowl.
Florida State, team to watch. Maybe the best team in the country playing right now. Bobby Bowden always has his team ready for postseason play. And of course, Colorado's chance for a national championship. The state of Colorado is going to be 2 miles high come Monday night.
Well, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Houston Oilers and the National Football League is prohibited. This game, the property of the NFL, all rights reserved.
Marv, wish you were here, Sam White.
Well, Doug Smith, the nose tackle for the Houston Oilers, pointed out during the week that he did leave a ticket for Sam Weish because he felt Sam wanted to get to a playoff game. Yes, this time Lorenzo White remains in the end zone.
Well, I was going to make the point. Pittsburgh has had 2 golden opportunities here in the second half with great field position and in a position to basically put the Houston Oilers away, and have failed on one and got 3 points out of the other. So they allow the Houston Oilers some life.
And Warren Moon with very impressive statistics, but on the scoreboard, only 9 points for the Oilers.
3 times inside the 20 and only 3 field goals.
Meanwhile, Bubby Brister with the usual story, only 8 for 17, 84 yards. In fact, last week against Tampa Bay and throwing a touchdown pass, it was his first in 8 games, but he gets the job done. And that's been the story over the second part of the season. That broken up, pass intended for Curtis Duncan. And Brian Hinkle was in front of him.
I think Duncan was shocked that the flag was not thrown. And obviously Pittsburgh has made the adjustments. Woodruff 49 on Duncan. He goes inside. Hinkle is right there. Well, that's contact before the ball got there, but there's no review of that play.
And the crowd reacting after they watched the replay on the big scoreboard and video replay here at the Astrodome.
And this red gun for Houston has certainly slowed down. The first half, it was on fire.
2nd and 10, Moon in trouble, able to get it away. That's Alonzo Highsmith with a short pickup. Hardy Nickerson right there to stop him.
Steelers beginning to get a little pressure on Warren Moon, and also the coverage downfield has improved dramatically. Now that may also be in part because Drew Hill and Ernest Gibbons ran so many patterns in the first half, Marv, that they may be somewhat winded and worn out. Here's Rod Russ, the defensive coordinator of the Steelers, and the adjustments they've made at halftime. You don't see those receivers wide open now like you did in the first 2 quarters.
Yes, Ernest Gibbons had himself a very fine time in the first half. 81 Gibbons in motion, 3rd down and 6. And again, Moon having difficulty finding anyone. Now Moon on the run. And stopped short of the first down by Gerald Williams.
Right in front of him was Alonzo Highsmith, but Highsmith had his back to Warren Moon. Warren had nobody to throw it to. Excellent coverage. Now watch Highsmith. When Moon is flushed, You see Highsmith is looking now. Now watch. Let's see, he turns his head away and he's out there to make a block, and Moon can't pick up the third down, so Montgomery to punt again.
And Montgomery is back behind his 15. And Woodson takes it on the hop. And is immediately down to cross the 35, 36-yard punt. And a 2-yard return. Al Smith and Eric Fairs on the coverage of Woodson with 1:18 remaining in this third quarter. So the Pittsburgh Steelers take over. They lead it by the score of 13-9. Sellout crowd here at the Astrodome, but it is not a natural sellout. The NFL extending the television blackout deadline until 5 o'clock on Friday, and the local NBC affiliate bought up some 1,500 tickets to assure the sellout. So this telecast is being shown locally. Bob, I know you were ready to chip in to pick up some additional exposure here in the Southwest. First down from the 36. Tim Worley, the ball carrier. Grimsley and Brown combine on the stop.
I tried to get tickets. I think Mrs. Brister is sitting in my seat.
Yes.
Again now, the Pittsburgh offense in the second half been very, very conservative. They've thrown the ball well to the tight end and the running backs down the field, and they've got the Houston Oilers defense thinking about what's going on out there. The time of possession clearly in favor of Houston in the first half, certainly turned for Pittsburgh in the second half.
Pittsburgh 2nd and 6 from their 40. Lips to the right, Hill left, and Worley peels off. Brister able to complete to Lips, and that is his first catch of the day. Chris Dishman on the coverage, and it is right near the first down marker.
It's not big, but it's important. Bump and run coverage by Dishman. Lips runs the quick out. Looks to me like his left foot. And there's Lewis Lips's mom in attendance today.
Her son just picked up the first down. Lewis, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, coming off his 2-touchdown game against Tampa Bay. Named Pittsburgh's most valuable player in voting by his teammates.
Oilers' priorities, they've stopped Lewis Lips, but they have not stopped the run.
First down for the Steelers from the 46. Brister stepping up. Oh, he's wide open. Oh, intended for Dwight Stone. Covered by Chris Dishman.
Dishman's got a smile on his face knowing that he got lucky. This is just a fly route. Dishman is late turning around. Stone blows by him, but the ball just overthrown. And Mrs. Brister, oh no, that's a fan. Everyone should have a mom like that who roots for you on every snap.
It is a 2nd and 10 at the 46. 25 seconds to go in the third. And Merrill Hodge, short of the first down, gets to the 46. Stopped by Johnny Meads.
Marvin, Pittsburgh's done one good thing today. It's that when Houston has shown the blitz, the sticky defense, 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, they have been able to audible to the right play. That time, if Meads doesn't make the tackle as the third period ends, Hodge is gone for the distance.
Another outstanding day for Hodge. 49 coming on that one long dash. 3 quarters complete. We'll be back in a moment. The Oilers accounting for only 21 yards as we get set to get going in the fourth. It's a 3rd down and 2 at the 46. And Lewis Lips on the reception. He just managed to get both feet in bounds, and he has picked up the first down. So Lips with his 2nd catch of the day.
Chris Dishman, very soft coverage there. Too far back, allowed the nice quick out by Louis Lips. And Dishman, of course, with Patrick Allen being dinged in the head a little bit. Dishman forced to play a little more than maybe Jerry Glanville wants. But the third quarter dominated by the Pittsburgh Steelers, now extending into the fourth.
Pittsburgh turning it around in terms of holding the football in the third. First down. Brister off the pump. Incomplete. Tim Worley in the area, covered by Robert Lyles. So 2nd and 10 at the 38. We're just underway in the fourth quarter, and the Steelers leading the Oilers by the score of 13-9.
Bubby gets pressured here, and he does get hit. He wears a knee brace. And it looks like Doug Smith rolls right into the leg, grabs it, twists it, throws him down. Incomplete pass. There's the knee brace. And that was the knee that was hit.
He's had an injury troublesome year, missed a couple of games with the sprained knee earlier in the season. He's also had shoulder problems. 2nd down and 10. 82 Hill in motion. And Brister can't find anyone. Throws it off the roll. Incomplete. Intended for Derek Hill. It's the backup quarterback Rick Strom in a brief conversation with Bubby Brister. So
Pittsburgh has had great field position here in the third quarter. Only got 3 points to show for it.
Correction, that was ruled complete. It is a completed pass
to Derek Hill.
And it's a 3rd down and 3.
You can see when Bubby is flushed out of the pocket, 82 runs with the quarterback. 1, 2, second foot down. Yes, clearly a catch.
So a 3rd down 3 at the 31-yard line. Nice catch by Hill, staying in bounds, and now Brister going deep. Intended for Hill. Covered by Allen.
The intended receiver was Lewis Lips. But Dishman had good coverage, so he had to go to the outlet receiver on the other side of the field, which is Derek Hill. He runs the hitch and go, and he goes right by Patrick Allen again, just overthrown. You know, that may be the product of having to work indoors in Pittsburgh all week. They didn't have enough turf to really practice the long pass receptions.
Yes, they were playing on the concrete for the most part indoors. This a 48-yard attempt by Anderson. It was 2 for 2, and this one is good. So Gary Anderson is now hit from 25, from 38, and from 48. And the Steelers now take a 16-9 lead on the Oilers. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. The Pittsburgh Steelers, off the 48-yard field goal by Gary Anderson, have taken a 16-9 lead on the Houston Oilers. And off kickoff, the Oilers continue to have their difficulties. So they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. And this one of the major problems of the Oilers this afternoon. Now, when we started the day, we were talking about the Cinderella story of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Bob was checking, is this the classic comics version to make it a little bit more simple for you?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yes, I read the book and saw the movie.
Bob not understanding the ending of Cinderella. Incidentally,
turn to the last page. What happened?
Bob, enough of this. Incidentally, earlier, Bobby Bethard, as you know, made the announcement that he will be the general manager of the San Diego Chargers, and there is now an opening as an insider on NFL Live. And in watching your work with the phones, I feel there's a good opportunity for you in that department.
Marv, I much prefer the electric situation of a football stadium as opposed to the solitude of the phone.
Okay.
Please leave me out here. Or I know you know some people up there at 30 Rock. Mention my name in the booth, will you? Not in the studio.
2nd down and 8. Bob so graciously has turned down the offer.
Yeah, well, Marv, to the ball game, this in my estimation, this is the drive of the game for Houston. They're either back in this game or they're out of it on this drive.
And the catch by Drew Hill in front of David Little and Brian Hinkle, and a first down for Houston. A minute and a half gone by in the fourth quarter. The Steelers by 7. They lead the Oilers by the score of 16-9.
Again, the red gun, and you see 85 go by David Little. Time for Moon to wait for it. He gets it between Hinkle 53 and Little 50. And this red gun offense is probably what we're going to see Houston in the rest of the day with Warren Moon under center.
And Moon now first down from the Houston 36. Moon in trouble. And able to get it away to Curtis Duncan. And another Houston first down, Dwayne Woodruff on the coverage.
Now, Marv, just a personal opinion, but I think the reason we're seeing Warren Moon up underneath the center is that Pennison, the normal center, is out with the flu. Yarno is in there as a backup, and I feel that Moon feels more comfortable taking the ball from Yarno as opposed to having the long snap to him. That's unusual. Normally the red gun is with Warren Moon back there in the shotgun position, but taking no chances. Nice completion. Drive stays alive.
Well, the ball spotted just short, inches away from the first down, second and inches, and it's to the ground. And Pinkett now does have the first down. Greg Loy, the outside linebacker, on the stop. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. The AFC wild card matchup. Pittsburgh Steelers in a surprise to make it here. They needed a lot of cooperation, while the Houston Oilers ending their season in very disappointing fashion. The 61-7 thrashing by Cincinnati. The loss last Saturday to Cleveland here in Houston when they could have wrapped up the AFC Central. They went down throughout the week. Came out of it toward the end of the week. Here's Pinkett. Change of direction out to midfield.
Now see, once again, you hear the Houston fans booing, but what they need to do, what Houston needs to do, is draw the linebackers up to the line of scrimmage so then they can get Hill and Gibbons open right behind them. I'm not sure the fans in the stands here understand the thinking of this, but if you don't have those linebackers tied to the line of scrimmage, you have no pass routes for Gibbons and Hill. And you see David Little and Hardy Nickerson almost jump out of there immediately. You've got to keep them up there tight.
Second down and 7 at midfield. Moon able to drill it, broken up.
Great play.
Intended for Jeffries and broken up by Woodson.
Great play, Woodson. Great recovery time on Jeffries. He's the biggest of the Houston receivers. And Woodson's got him single coverage out there. And watch the way Woodson turns all the way around and still has the ability to come back and make up that distance. So Houston again in a third down situation, and Woodson just gets his hand in there to knock it away.
Third down and 7. 10:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Now Moon out of the shotgun. Throws the middle and completes to Hill. A big play. Moon and Hill on the reception. Larry Griffin with the stop. It's a 21-yard pass play and a first down for Houston at the Pittsburgh 29.
Marv, here's the matchup. It worked well in the first half. You've got Hill and Carnell Lake, and again, good time for Warren Moon. And you see he stays with Drew Hill throughout the entire pattern, and he's able to get open.
Drew Hill with a 6th catch, 97 yards on the day. First down at the Pittsburgh 29. Moon with time. And Haywood Jeffries not able to hang on. The coverage from David Little.
That ball may have been tipped at the line of scrimmage because Jeffries was wide open. There's Woodson again, and this time it's a slant in. And he should catch that ball. That ball is not tipped. He should catch that ball. But I thought maybe the trajectory of the ball changed a little bit. There's no excuse for missing that one.
David Little has played exceptionally well this season. Chuck Knoll telling us last night that Little is the glue and the brains of the Steeler defense. Second down and 10 at the 29. Moore looking for the screen. He has Highsmith, and Highsmith has the first down. Lorenzo Highsmith, who has come back from 2 arthroscopic knee operations in his 3rd year out of Miami, taking that screen pass.
Screen should come right at you, and you'll see the key block is by Bruce Matthews, 74. He comes out just to the right of Highsmith. You can't really pick it up, but Matthews has a huge block. We have a player down for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And when we resume, it'll be a first down at the 18.
Brian Hinkle was the Pittsburgh Steeler injured. As this screen develops, Bruce Matthews gets a big block on it, picks up the first down, and the drive stays alive for Houston.
And it's a first down at the Pittsburgh 18. Off the play action, lots of time, and Moon fires. Touchdown! Ernest Gibbons bringing Houston within 1. Zendejas, who has been perfect on the season, 40 for 40, will attempt the extra point. 18-yard touchdown pass play. Moon to Gibbons. Zendejas has tied it with 9:14 remaining. In the 4th quarter, Houston has come from behind, and they've tied the Steelers at 16, 10 plays, 80 yards, capped off by the touchdown pass from Moon to Gibbons.
First half, it was all Ernest Gibbons. Here's the isolate. Dwayne Woodruff, he lets him go, and then it looks like Larry Griffin is the closest man in coverage. Gibbons had 8 catches in the first half, Marv. That was his first catch of the second half. He now has 9 catches, 96 yards, and the tying touchdown.
And the 9th catch equaling a career high for Ernest Gibbons. In his 4th year out of Louisville. And this sellout crowd reacts. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Oilers are now tied at 16. Well, the 1980s began with a Houston-Pittsburgh playoff game, and the 80s are ending with a Houston-Pittsburgh playoff game, although these days the circumstances have changed in terms of the balance of power, and Houston is at home as the solid favorite, in contrast to what took place in the late 70s and the early part of the 80s. The kickoff by Zendejas. The backpedaling Woodson on the return to the 10. And took the hit at the 15, and down he went. Backup linebacker Scott Kozak on the stop of Rod Woodson. This crowd is back into it. Pittsburgh will start out from their 16.
First touchdown of the day, that reception by Ernest Gibbons. Jerry Glanville feeling a little bit better about his team's chances now. They've missed a lot of opportunities, made good on that one.
Hart and Worley, the running backs. Lips in motion. Worley tripped up by Meads. So a loss on the play. It will be a 2nd and 12 back at the 14.
Houston comes with the blitz. Meads right inside the tight end. Just gets his hand on Worley's foot. And Pittsburgh's going to have a problem when they get to third down if they want to audibilize or anything like that. This crowd is suddenly back in the ball game. Going to be tough on Pittsburgh and Bubby Brister.
Brister.
But he was so quick to call a timeout.
Yeah, he called for that timeout and heads to the sideline.
I think if he'd have waited a minute, the official might have helped him.
Brister had told us he's not concerned about the noise level here at the Astrodome, but he was having difficulties. The play clock was down to 1 second remaining. So Pittsburgh down to their final timeout with lots of time left, 8:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. Well, the house of pain has been rocking these last few moments as the Steelers have been held in check in the second half.
But they've had pretty good field position, Marv.
Now Brister looking at a second and 13, back at the 13. Dwight Stone to the right, and Brister with the jump pass incomplete. The tight end Mike Mularkey not looking that way. Covered by Donaldson and Eaton. There's Mularkey, a Plan B free agent from the Minnesota Vikings in his 7th year out of the University of Florida.
Well, he's pressured. He's got to get rid of the ball quickly, and Mularkey never turns around to look. The Houston defense certainly playing a lot better in this second half. Pressure comes from the right. There was somebody at his feet. Mularkey never looks for the ball.
A 3rd and 13. Back at the 13. Game tied at 16. And Brister in trouble. Throws one away. And the Pittsburgh punting unit will come on. 8:02 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Good pressure again by the Houston defense. Fuller 95 flushes him out of the pocket. You can see Johnny Meads is out there, and Bubby just heaves it to the Pittsburgh sideline.
That is Kenny Johnson, who muffed one earlier. A big turnaround play. Oilers have had difficulty in kick and punt returns. Newsom from his goal line. And a short punt. Taking a Houston bounce. With a behind-the-back maneuver by Mark Stock racing downfield. It is only a 25-yard punt. The Oilers will take over with 7:49 remaining in the fourth. A look at tonight's New Year's Eve lineup here on NBC. It gets going with the King Orange Jamboree Parade. Guest host Ann Jillian and Amen's Clifton Davis. Then the Ann Jillian Show, followed by Sister Kate and Vanna White. Stars in the NBC Sunday night movie Goddess of Love.
See the second half possessions by the Oilers. Not much until that last drive and a big catch by Ernest Gibbons.
And off the 25-yard punt by Newsom. Houston first down at the Pittsburgh 38. Game tied at 16. And Moon's pass incomplete. Intended for Alan Pinkett coming out of the backfield. 7:45 remaining in the fourth quarter as we take a look at the breakdown. Warren Moon finding receivers on 19 occasions and going to his backs 7 times. The tight ends usually don't figure much in the pass patterns of the Houston Oilers.
No, they're blockers. Last week, 23 of 32 receptions to wide receivers. That time they tried to set up a screen to Alan Pinkett. Moon getting the play from the sideline.
Moon looking at a 2nd and 10. Brian Hinkle injured on that last series, suffered a concussion, and we're told he is out the rest of the way, and the play clock running out. So it's a delay of game to cost the Oilers.
You could see Moon looking at the sideline right in the huddle, and it looked like he got the wrong information. didn't understand the call, so it cost them 5 yards. There's Brian Hinkle on the sideline with shoulder pads out. When this clock expires, I think Warren Moon will look directly at the sideline and say, come on, get it there quickly. A little faster. So now it's 2nd and 15.
George Yonner working at center. Jay Pennison bothered by a touch of the flu. Mike Munchak, Bruce Matthews at the guards. Ian Steinkühler, Bruce Davis at the tackle. 2nd, 15 at the Pittsburgh 43. Now Moon with time. Fires. Another big play combining with Ernest Gibbons. Lake and Griffin combine to make the stop. That's 10 double figures, 10 catches for Gibbons.
Lake has the coverage inside. This is what Houston was doing in the first half, and then it's just foot speed. They clear everybody out inside the pattern and then let Gibbons run across the field. It's almost not fair.
And he picked up 29 yards. It's a first down at the Steeler 14. Now the handoff to White. White going to the outside, but met by the combination of Woodson and Lake.
Glanville on the sideline, Chuck Noll on his sideline. A lot of missed opportunities by both teams. The Steelers jump out on top, and they hold Houston out of the end zone with a touchdown until the 4th quarter.
Pittsburgh with a 10-6 lead at halftime. Very impressive statistics again for Warren Moon, who finished strong against Cleveland last week. Career highs 31 for 52. 2nd down 8, and again to the ground. Pinkett stopped by the nose tackle, Gerald Williams, and the Oilers not able to get anything going on the ground.
Not just in this drive, for the entire day, Pittsburgh has done a great job of stopping this running attack. Now Moon goes back and fakes like he's going to throw, and then bodies flying all over the place. Greg Lloyd assists on the tackle. Looks like David Little is also in there along with Gerald Williams. So a key 3rd down here.
It's a 3rd and 6. Duncan is to the right. And now Jeffries left. Moon with time, throws, touchdown. And again, it is Ernest Gibbons. So Moon and Gibbons hooking up again against the defensive unit of Ron Rush. 11 catches for Gibbons, and Zendejas able to put it through with 6 minutes 2 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Houston has turned it, and they now lead the underdog Pittsburgh Steelers by the score of 23-16.
All day long you've seen these crossing patterns by the Houston Oilers. This time Gibbons has Carnell Lake again. Moon with plenty of protection. The crossing patterns have worked all day long for Houston. And Gibbons runs outside the first defender, inside the second. It looked like Pittsburgh came with the zone. And Moon has plenty of time. You see David Little, 50, coming on the blitz. He waits, threads the needle. Gibbons' 2nd touchdown in the 2nd half, his 11th catch on the afternoon. And Warren Moon, catch it. Yes. Chuck Noll's reaction. That's happened to his defense all day long, Marv. Those crossing patterns by Hill and Gibbons. They now have 17 catches between the two of them. Look at that.
An explosive combination. That has been the story the last 2 years. Drew Hill and Ernest Gibbons. Zendejas getting set to kick it off. The winner here will face the Denver Broncos next Sunday at Mile High in Denver. Houston did not play Denver this season. Earlier, back in November, Pittsburgh lost at Denver, 34-7. Here's Woodson to the 5, 10, cross the 15, and again, Houston does a good job in covering Rod Woodson. Billy Bell leading the way. Well, I mentioned the 11 receptions by Ernest Gibbons. The playoff record, Kellen Winslow with 13 receptions against Miami back in 1981.
Woodson trying to make a big play here for the Steelers. Unfortunately, Houston Oilers special teams have not given him much of an opportunity.
So Brister with a first down at his 18. Looks to put it up. Able to elude Fuller and then completes. Hard hit by Steve Brown on Lewis Lips.
Lips this time does a great job of pushing that cornerback off. And you can see that the coverage is Steve Brown. Lips turns around, goes back outside. Brown almost gets there, but Lips with good concentration, and Brister with the strong arm makes the completion.
First down for Pittsburgh from their 28. And Worley accelerates, gets out to the 34-yard line. Al Smith, the inside linebacker, making the stop on Worley. It'll be a second down and 4 at the 34.
With 5:01 to play, Pittsburgh staying with their game plan. Al Smith meets Worley right in the hole, but Worley's still able to pick up good yardage. But they got to start throwing the ball down the field a little bit more. Pittsburgh does.
See the time running down, coming up on 4.5 to go in this fourth quarter. Brister was looking for the tight end Malarkey, then changed his mind and now throws one deep and throws it away. No one in sight. Malarkey was covered at the near side, Lips at the far side.
Almost gets sacked. Eludes the rush very, very well. It's by Sean Jones, 96, and then he's just heaving it out of bounds. 94, Montgomery finally makes contact with him, but Merrill Hodge has been good in these situations. Third down and 3 yards to go.
Crowd is responding to the Houston defensive unit. That's Stone in motion. Deep drop, and Brister completes. And close to the first down, Merrill Hodge. Let's see where they spot that ball. Patrick Allen on the hit. From that angle, it appears to be a first down for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's the true marker, too, on that side of the field. So I agree with you. That does look like they have the first down. Patrick Allen makes a clean tackle. I think it's fourth down, but Hodge does a great job and gets the ball just over what appears to be the first down marker. There's that missed tackle. Great effort by Merrill Hodge. Is it enough?
Yes, it is. First down being indicated. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Houston by a touchdown, 23-16. There's Ernest Gibbons, who has caught 2 touchdowns, 11 catches in all. First down from the Pittsburgh 38. Worley cutting inside. Worley picking up the first down. Smith and Meads on the stop. Some strong running by the rookie from Georgia, Tim Worley.
You know, that time Pittsburgh had Lips coming in motion. He ends up being a lead blocker. He hits the outside linebacker and allows Worley to turn the corner. Here's Lips. The man in coverage with him is Steve Brown. Now watch what happens. He gets Bubba McDowell outside. Worley's able to turn it back up inside. Big pickup Pittsburgh. Still alive, still chugging.
Worley had a strong game against Houston 4 weeks ago with 103 yards.
Reverse.
Now Hodge on the reverse. Stone. And Stone picks up another first down and some more. So the Steelers going to the gadget play, and it succeeds for 20 yards. Johnny Meads on the stop of Dwight Stone.
You know, the unusual thing about that call, Marv, is they run it into the short side of the field. Normally when you run reverses, you want to give the running back, the guy with the ball, as much room as possible. But this is into the short side of the field. A nice picket fence set up here for Stone. 20-yard pickup. There are two Houston Oilers on the ground. Looks like one is William Fuller and the other one is Doug Smith. See if you can pick up the picket fence as it gets around here. Well, this is a free shot for the offense. Good block by Ilkin. 20-yard pickup, and they're still down. Houston Oilers spread all over the field.
And going into today, as we mentioned right at the start, the Oilers vulnerable in the front three. Ray Childress out of action, the outstanding defensive lineman, out with broken leg. Doug Smith playing hurt. Richard Byrd playing hurt. And that is Smith, the 5-year man from Auburn, who has made it back following an arthroscopic procedure on his knee. There's Smith. And Fuller also shaken up.
Marv, if both these guys go out, I don't know. Houston puts in at the defensive line. He's got cramps in his legs. One of the key blocks on this play is the quarterback, Bubby Brister. Watch number 6. Worley does a good job. And Brister is the guy who hits Doug Smith, the biggest guy on the field.
Yes, Smith goes 6'6", 290.
I don't know who they're going to play now at defensive line.
Well, let's see. You have Sean Jones, Glenn Montgomery, Anthony Spears, who has been activated from the developmental squad and has been spotted this afternoon. And it looks to be a combination of Spears, Montgomery, and Jones.
That's Smith walking off, and he definitely has cramps in his legs. There's 92 Spears getting his first snaps here in the NFL. Robert Lyles trying to tell him what to do. Boy, this does not bode well for Houston, because Pittsburgh is going to fire right up into those guys now.
And last week against Cleveland, with the Oilers short-handed, Jerry Glanville used some linebackers up front, which did not help against the hard driving running of Kevin Mack.
He's looking for players back there, anybody.
We're down to 2:15 left in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh first down at the Houston 29. Steelers trail by a touchdown. And again to the ground. Worley, who has been running well, coughed it up. And let's see what the call is here. The ruling is that he is down by contact.
And boy, that certainly is a result of those defensive linemen going out.
Two-minute notification. 2-minute notification.
Well, that is the official 2-minute warning. Pittsburgh does maintain possession. And when we resume, it will be a second down and about 4 down at the Houston 23. We'll be right back.
Nose tackle on the sideline with cramps. And so into the lineup is Glenn Montgomery. He's playing nose tackle. William Fuller and Sean Jones in the key defensive lineup of the game. And Glanville was looking around for players, and he motioned for Bob Marasco, the tight end, to come up here. We're going to give him a quick defensive lesson. He may be in there before this game is over.
Well, Marasco did play some defense at defensive tackle in his collegiate days at Penn State, but that's not what Jerry Glanville would have in mind in this situation. 2nd and 4 at the 23. Worcester off the pump and has the first down, combining with Merrill Hodge. Grimsley and Lyles combined on the stop. The clock is running. It is down to 1:45 left in this fourth quarter. Pittsburgh right to the line.
Houston.
Yes. Drawn right off.
He's trying to get his team to the line of scrimmage, and I don't know why Fuller jumps off sides.
Got them to get on me. Encroachment. Defense.
Chuck Noll is saying they let the clock run. Now watch Fuller. I have no idea what he sees, but he jumps across the line of scrimmage. The clock continues to run. Now down to 1:32. And a 5-yard penalty assessed against Houston.
And coming up, the 9th play of the drive. This drive started back on Pittsburgh's 18-yard line with 5:53 to go. Houston with the 7-point lead in the come-from-behind effort off the 2 touchdown passes from Moon to Givens. And apparently they will reset the clock as the penalty flags were thrown.
Put 5 seconds back on the clock, please. 5 seconds.
They did not stop the clock immediately, and that was the complaint, as you saw, by Pittsburgh head coach Chuck Noll. So it's been adjusted. 1:37 now remaining.
Well, we got these fans in the Astrodome standing. They haven't seen their seat in quite a while. There's Crazy George trying to drum up a little business from the Oilers fans.
Very good, drumming it up, huh? And the chant of defense here at the Astrodome.
Brister, it appears, is calling more than one play in the huddle. They only have 1 timeout left. And, of course, they need the touchdown.
It is a 1st and 5 at the Houston 12. Brister off the pump, goes short. And the play is stopped. Brown all over Worley. And the officials able to break it up.
Bobby Brister is trying to get his team back to the line of scrimmage.
That was only a pickup of 2, so a 2nd down and 3. The ball just inside the 10. Clock down to 1:10 left in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh attempting to stay alive. They're down by a touchdown. Stone in motion. Off the draw. It is Hodge for the first down and more. Merrill Hodge with another clutch run to set up 1st and goal, and timeout has been called.
Now Chuck Noll again is mad at the guy who was operating the clock. About 5 or 6 seconds expired from the clock again. Houston's now in trouble. Pittsburgh's down in a goal line situation. Houston has no defensive lineman to put in there to stop them on the goal line.
We'll be back after this commercial time.
Again, wanting 5 seconds more back on the clock. The clock stands at 49. And Haggerty did not agree with him, and the 49 seconds remain on the clock. Their last timeout taken. Pittsburgh now with 161 yards rushing on the day. Hodge with 86 on 13 carries.
It's been a terrific all-around game for the fullback Merrill Hodge. It is a 1st and goal at the 1. Houston 23 and Pittsburgh 16. And Houston now has its starting front 3 on the field. Fuller, Smith, and Jones are in there.
But how healthy are they? Smith has got cramps in his legs. Montgomery is also in there. Spears is in there. They have 4 defensive linemen on 1st and goal for Pittsburgh.
Hodge. Pittsburgh indicating a touchdown.
Ball's loose.
No, the touchdown is indicated. It is a score for Hodge. And so the Steelers within 1 point of tying it up.
Again, right at the line of scrimmage. Hodge dives over. Oh, it looks like he has the ball. Well, did the ball break the plane? It was stripped out of his arms. Just like the story of Cinderella. Whoever wins, it's going to come down to the last tick of the clock.
And the point after by Anderson is right through. So Gary Anderson, a major part of the story here this afternoon, has tied it at 23 with 46 seconds remaining in regulation.
That was an awful tough run by Merrill Hodge. They really got underneath his feet, and he was still able, it appears, to get the ball across the plane of the goal line. Looks like Grimsley, 59, is the first man with contact. When the ball comes loose, he's already stopped. So the score stands again now, right at Doug Smith. Grimsley hits him. Dishman, 28, stops him. And he's ruled in the end zone. Bubby's mom. Touchdown. Yeah, moms know touchdowns. Chuck Noll, little grimace. He sees the signal. Game tied. You know, Marv, I got to tell you, Pittsburgh looks relatively fresh. On the other side, Houston looks physically exhausted.
And we're down to 46 seconds remaining in regulation. The lineup tonight here on NBC, the King Orange Jamboree Parade following this AFC wild card matchup between Houston and Pittsburgh. And then the Ann Jillian Show, followed by Sister Kate and Vanna White, starring in The Goddess of Love. That's all tonight right here on NBC. And it will be a late night in terms of primetime programming.
There's Doug Smith on the sideline. He's trying to recoup as best he possibly can, because in overtime the problems continue with the lack of defensive linemen. They're all huffing and puffing there.
3 deep now for Houston. Lorenzo White, the man in the middle, with Kenny Johnson and Tracy Johnson flanking him. And the kickoff by Anderson. And Tracy Johnson stays right there. So they bring it out to the 20-yard line. And Houston, with 46 seconds remaining in regulation, will have first down at the 20.
If you're wondering, Zendejas has made kicks from 52 and 51. 2 for 2 from 50 plus.
I recall the overtime game against Buffalo that we did here at the Astrodome. Zendejas connecting, and that 47. Actually, the Oilers lost in overtime to Buffalo 47-41 here in week number 3, and Zendejas had his ups and downs in that contest. Here's Moon throwing deep. Pass intended for Drew Hill. Covered by Carnell Lake.
Ball was thrown on the outside of Drew Hill. Pressure finally on Warren Moon. Keith Willis gets him to the ground. Moon has no idea if the pass is completed or not, but it does bring up 2nd and 10. I don't know why you want to be a head coach in the NFL. I swear I don't know why you want to be a head coach. Go through this. Nuts.
And as you can see, Houston with 3 timeouts remaining. At the inside handoff, Alan Pinkett out to the 24, and that brings the reaction as Houston is called for time. Gerald Williams, Thomas Everett making the stop on Pinkett with 33 seconds remaining now in this 4th quarter. When we resume, it'll be a 3rd down and 6 at the 24-yard line. Big day of football here on NBC tomorrow. Gets underway with the Hall of Fame Bowl, followed by the Fiesta, and then the Orange Bowl. And wondering if Colorado will be playing on that statement made by Lou Holtz that was caught by a stray microphone, with Holtz saying regarding Colorado. They're not playing any Kansas States anymore. Frustration will eventually set in on Colorado's offense. By the middle of the third quarter, they'll leave the game plan completely and start grab bagging, said Lou Holtz.
Well, it's an option offense versus an option offense, both with tremendous quarterbacks who can really make the option go. That's the entertaining part of that game.
34 seconds left in regulation. Game tied at 23. And a 3rd and 6 for Moon. And Pinkett out to the 30. Jerry Glanville apparently not looking to take any chances here. Woodson on the stop, and he's just going to run it out.
I think one of the things they were trying to do is Pittsburgh was, with their prevent defense, making sure that no receivers could get deeper than their deepest defensive back, and they're trying to pop somebody through the line of scrimmage. Pinkett almost gets it done here, but Rod Woodson, 26, comes up from the secondary to make the tackle, and I believe they're ruling it a first down pickup.
Did pick up the first down, so that stopped the clock with 23 seconds left.
Well, you got a tough choice now if you're Jerry Glanville. Do you try the Hail Mary? There's Rod Woodson. Do you try the Hail Mary, or do you take your chances in overtime?
Warren Moon back from his discussion on the sideline. Houston from its 30-yard line with 23 seconds left in regulation. Oilers have the 2 timeouts left. And let's see how Glanville plays it. Well, Moon goes short range. Haywood Jeffries on the reception. And the clock is stopped. Another Houston timeout with 14 seconds remaining. The Oilers have it at their 35-yard line.
I think if you've got a play in there called the hook and lateral, where you throw it to one guy, he laterals at the running back coming out of the backfield, or some trick play like that, you almost have to pull it out here and try to get the ball down for Zendejas to try a field goal. Well, but the pass is actually a very high percentage pass. Now the defensive backs of Pittsburgh are going to be playing way back. Their mindset is, don't let anybody get deeper than I am. And there's Bubby on the sideline looking at overtime, rooting for the defense.
Now the Oilers from their 35-yard line, 14 seconds left in regulation. Oilers trailed at halftime 10-6. Took the lead on the 2 touchdown passes. Moon to Gibbons. And Pittsburgh coming back to tie it in the final minute. And Moon does throw long. And it's broken up.
Jeffries out of bounds. Wouldn't have counted anyway.
Elton Hall, number 35, able to break it up.
Elton Hall on the inside, and once the receiver goes out of bounds, which you'll see at the end of this pattern, the only way he can catch the ball is when he comes back in if it's touched first by the defense. He kind of ran him out of bounds, didn't he? But nevertheless goes as an incompletion. And you got to think that you try it one more time, the Hail Mary.
Well, the clock is down to 7 seconds remaining in regulation. And Houston from their 35-yard line. We are looking at overtime. Moon is now 29 for 47, 314 yards. And the 30-second clock has run out. So delay of game. And they move it back.
Game, offense.
I'm not sure that 5 yards makes any difference in this particular play. What I think Houston is hoping for is pass interference somehow, because the game can't end on a defensive penalty, or a miraculous catch at the sideline that stops the clock at 1 tick.
Which would set up a field goal opportunity for this man. Zendejas. All right, here's Moon. Couldn't find anyone. Time has expired. No. He is bumped out of bounds. What an incredible ending. Time has run out. Greg Lloyd on the recovery, but wait, a flag has been thrown at midfield. Let's listen.
We have 12 men on the defense. The game is over.
Not quite. Regulation time has expired.
Gerald Williams, 91, was the last.
Time for one play.
Yes. Gerald Williams was the extra man on the field, and because that's a dead ball foul, the clock stops. There is one untimed play because the game can't end on a defensive penalty. So Pat Haggerty will straighten it out. There is time for one more play.
And Noel was trying to get that extra man off the field, frantically gesturing. Zeros on the clock, but time for one play.
Again, though, the game can't end on a defensive penalty. So again, your hope if you're Houston is another
penalty on the defense. And now Moon with the long look and just dumps it off, intended for Hayward Jeffries. Now the gun sounds, and now we go to overtime.
Okay, the coin flip, the visiting team calls. We'll find out who wins the coin flip, and frankly, even though a lot of people feel that the coin flip and who wins it determines the winner of the game, not true. It's about 50-50.
Oilers and Steelers are tied at 23 as we head to OT. And the final game of the 1980s may go down as one of the more memorable. Coming up following this AFC wild card, King Orange Jamboree Parade, followed by the Ann Gillian Show, Sister Kate, and then the Sunday night movie Goddess of Love. Pat Haggerty presiding over the coin toss.
Woodruff makes the call. Pittsburgh gets it.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers will receive the kickoff to begin this sudden death overtime. Houston and Pittsburgh tied at 23. The winner goes on to face the Denver Broncos. Back with OT in a moment.
Well, in overtime, we play until someone wins. There's no question about that. Field goal kickers decide it. Each team gets 2 timeouts. They are 15-minute time periods. First team that scores wins. And if nobody scores, we go to a second overtime. You can ask Don Shula and Hank Stram about going to extra overtime periods.
All right, Houston did have one overtime game earlier this season. Lost to Buffalo 47-41 here at the Astrodome back in week 3. The last time the Steelers won in overtime, they beat Houston 22-16. That was here in Houston back in September of '86. And the kick by Zendejas. Woodson from the goal line to the 10, to the 20, and hit hard before reaching out to the 20-yard line. Eugene Seal made the contact. So we get underway in overtime. And the Pittsburgh Steelers start out from their 18.
Now, I think in the overtimes, you have to play to win. You can't play not to lose. Pittsburgh has got to go out there with the feeling that this is the first quarter of the game. They've got a very, very tired defense facing them.
The crowd trying to rev up the Houston defensive unit. Here's Hodge, picked up back behind the line by the nose tackle, Doug Smith.
Smith is continuing to get leg cramps. Montgomery comes in to take his place.
So Glenn Montgomery, rookie from the University of Houston, is back on the field.
From behind the offense, you see Hodge Smith makes the tackle. And the loss of body fluid, Doug Smith cramps in his legs again immediately.
Second down and 9. And Brisker couldn't find anyone.
That was going to be a tight end screen. That was either intended for Milwaukee or for Hodge. Now, you know what this does to next week's game? Ruins it for both these teams. These teams have absolutely just given everything they've gotten, saved up, hoped for in this entire season.
And next week, the winner here will go up against the Denver Broncos at Mile High. Third down and 9 at the 19. Stone in motion. Penalty marker down as Brisker throws away. Again, he could not find anyone. Lewis Lips in the area. Building a motion offense. So a quickie series for Chuck Noll and his Pittsburgh Steelers, and they will punt it away.
Well, I think you almost have to go for the block here. If you're Houston, they've already blocked one of Harry Newsom's punts. Seems to me that this is the perfect time to go for the block.
And here's Kenny Johnson, the 10-year man from Mississippi State. At midfield, Newsom back at his 4. We are in overtime with a minute gone by. Game tied at 23. Here they come. And Newsom got it away. Johnson letting it bounce. That takes a Houston hop. Steelers down it around the 45. And Houston will go to the offense. It's a 26-yard punt by Newsom. Not what he had in mind, but obviously affected by that big rush by the Oilers.
Well, even though they didn't block the ball, hurrying the punter to produce the 26-yard net punt accomplishes a lot for Houston. Look at the field position.
Well, the last wild card overtime game, Oilers beating Seattle 23-20, January of 1988.
Interesting choice here now for Jerry Glanville. Do you go with the red gun? No, he starts with the 2 running backs and 2 tight ends.
First down at the Pittsburgh 45. And it's to the ground for Lorenzo White. And he's hit for the loss. He fumbled. And the Steelers recover. Rod Woodson on the recovery.
Well, look at the Houston Oilers. They're standing there saying, I think they realize there was a fumble. Lorenzo White's mistake as he bounces outside. Greg Lloyd, 95 out there. Tim Johnson, 78. Woodson makes the hit. Ball is loose. No question it's a fumble. And the recovery by Woodson. And the Houston Oilers sideline. Watch the sideline, Marv. They know. They see the ball loose. Watch him. They know it's Pittsburgh's ball. Nobody complains. Woodson makes the hit and also makes the recovery.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers take over at the Houston 46-yard line. And a discussion by the officials. Apparently there is a review taking place.
Sure, it is being reviewed. Tim Johnson makes the first hit, and then Woodson explodes all over Lorenzo White. He's carrying it on the left side, which is the proper side. Watch Woodson. Right on the ball. may be the only reason they're reviewing is exactly where they spot the ball. Pat Haggerty says Pittsburgh's ball after the review. Jack Fetty is in the booth there. He's our replay guy today. There's Jack. There he is. Looking for the on-camera exposure. Getting up from behind the monitor. And Pittsburgh off the fumble recovery by Woodson. First down at the Houston 46. We are in overtime. Tied at 23. Hodge with the big hole and turns forward for the first down. Merrill Hodge stopped by Bubba McDowell and Jeff Donaldson. That Houston defense absolutely exhausted. Standing there with their hands on their hips. Pittsburgh runs the trap up the middle. Hodge pops through. He's approaching 100 yards, I believe. To the official, Mr. Stats Elliott Count indicating 99 off that 11-yard burst. First down at the Houston 35. Here's Worley. Johnny Meads and Sean Jones combining on the stop. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, their first postseason appearance in 5 years. They've done it by virtue of a dramatic turnaround after they lost their first 2 games by a combined score of 92-10 at Cleveland and Cincinnati. They began the season losing to the Browns 51-0. The worst loss in the 57-year history of the Steelers. They fell to Cincinnati 41-10. A team that has been shut out 3 times, but they've turned it. They've won 5 of the last 6. Gary Anderson getting ready as the Steelers hope to bring it within field goal range, but Fuller able to put the hit on Hodge. Anderson is 3 for 3 on the day. He's hit from 25, from 30, and from 48. There he is in his 8th season out of Syracuse. Well, they may be happy to let Gary Anderson try from this distance. He is an excellent long-distance kicker, Marv. His high for the season is 49. He hit from 48 earlier. A third down and 8. Down at the Houston 33. And Brister goes incomplete, intended for Lewis Leps. Threw it behind him. And here comes Anderson. It's a 4th and 8 from the 33, and this will be a 50-yard attempt, looking to win it. Brian Blankenship is the snapper. You'll see Anderson, one of the best in the NFL. From 50 yards away, and now timeout. Timeout being taken. Houston Oilers looking to ice Gary Anderson. Wanted to think about it. And with the timeout, 11:39 remaining in overtime. We'll be back here at the Astrodome after this. So it has come down to this. Gary Anderson, over his career, has connected 6 times from 50 plus, 6 out of 15. He's hit from 49 on 2 occasions this season. This would win it. And Anderson's kick is good. The Pittsburgh Steelers have upset the Houston Oilers in the AFC wild card. They have done it by the score of 26-23 and will advance to go up against the Denver Broncos next Sunday at Mile High Stadium. And Jerry Glanville and a dejected group of Oilers head back to the locker room. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have done it. They have a hot team in the AFC going into the playoffs. And as the clock has approached midnight, the Cinderella Pittsburgh Steelers pull it out. A fairy tale story that has held true to form. And isn't it interesting that it comes on the glass slipper of Gary Anderson?
A A glass slipper that produced 4 out of 4 on the day. From 25, from 30, from 48, and from 50 to win it. Thanks to our producer, Glenn Adamo, our director, Andy Rosenberg, our replay director, John J. Filippelli, and thanks to Mr. Stats, our statistician, Elliot Kalb, our Budweiser most valuable player, the man who put it away, Gary Anderson, who just connected from 50 yards out in overtime of the AFC wild card. The Steelers by 3. So long from the Astrodome.
The proceeding has been a presentation of NBC.